Hello there, chat. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of cabaret stand-up. Rowan Atkinson, a real OG, and I do believe that particular sketch has a lot of relevance to today's topic. But before I start talking about today's topic, let me get some music up, and then we can dance on some graves. Well, maybe dance on a zombie. Maybe dance together with the zombie because the topic of today's stream isn't fully dead yet. They're still trying to do something with the intellectual property of it. Not much of a VTuber agency anymore. Not so much a school for VTubers as it was supposed to be, but more of a, I don't know, support network for VTubers. I'm not quite sure what they're gonna be up to with it just yet, but we'll get into all of that very soon. But first, music, and then we can talk about Nexus, the VTuber Academia that only lasted about a year or so, maybe more than a year. I'm not quite sure about the timeline there, but we'll explore the timeline too, so we'll have a clear look after all of this is done and done. Alrighty then. So, in case some of you don't know, and I encourage you guys to do a little bit of learning on your own after this stream is done. This is not my first Nexus stream. This is my second Nexus stream. On the first one, I introduced what Nexus was supposed to be back when they were still debuting their first wave, the gigantic wave of prospective talents, their students, so to speak. And we were discussing a lot of things regarding how those talents would be treated, how the organizational structure of Nexus is actually composed, and what they could do with this kind of concept. Not much, as is evidenced by them completely shutting down their VTuber activities going forward. So, you know, there's that lesson learned at least. But I encourage you guys to watch that particular stream because there would be some information missing for a lot of you guys, and I don't want to go through all of that again. The stream is long enough as it is, and I didn't want to keep this one too long either, because again, brevity is always appreciated when things like that are concerned, and you know, keeping you guys here for longer than it is necessary is not something I like doing either. As much as some topics that we discuss here are entertaining, today we're gonna be talking about something completely different. This is a deconstruction. This is a post-mortem stream, meaning we're gonna be getting deep into the corpse that is Nexus and seeing what went wrong from the perspective of the CEO of Nexus himself, Harry Saul, the principal that beat all of his talents to death, beat all of his company to death, took people's money, and by people's I mean his investors' money, and then, you know, just ran all of this shit into the ground, because why the fuck not? He had a novel concept going forward, and it didn't quite work out. What was the concept? Well, the concept was much less of a VTuber agency, even though in his own post-mortem post, in his blog post, Harry himself describes Nexus as an agency anyway, so again contradicts his own point going forward. It was more of a like a school for VTubers. Nexus was supposed to debut, like their mission statement was debuting from 100 up to 1,000 talents eventually, and those talents would be competing with one another for popularity. And those that managed to get through that specific time frame and garnered enough popularity, garnered enough attention, in other words, being monetized and actually bringing the company money, those would actually get into the real quote-unquote VTuber agency from that point. But nevertheless, that kind of thing never happened. Nexus just became this thing that people really forgot, other than, you know, the initial outrage that involved debuting 27, I do believe, 27 talents in one wave. And that's not all. All of these talents were debuted in a span of like 3 to 4 days or something like that, if I remember correctly. And all of the talents had like 30 minutes of debut time. That's how little time they had to introduce themselves to their prospective audiences. But that's not everything. These talents couldn't stream, at first at least, on platforms like YouTube or Twitch, or even places like TikTok. They had to use Nexus's partner streaming service called Anive. Yes, these two entities were partnered with one another, and Nexus talents had to go there and essentially do whatever they could with what they were given. And they weren't given much, if anything at all, other than, you know, models, and some of the models varied in quality in terms of design as well as the rigging. So you could have gotten a model that was pretty good, or you could have gotten a model that was, I don't want to mince words here, dog shit and kind of unusable in terms of rigging. Very stiff ones, I would even have to say. And Anive itself was a mobile streaming platform, so it was designed specifically to be used on mobile devices. So the screen that the VTubers could use was extremely tiny, and I do mean extremely tiny. Like the size and the proportions, the aspect ratios you would get normally on your phone if it was if it was placed vertically. You couldn't do much on that app other than just fucking talk to people. It lagged the models, and whenever someone tried to you know, give the VTubers money on there via giving them specific Anive coins, that's the currency that they used on there, they got like specific perks, like things appearing on the screen. And when you spammed those things, if that actually happened sometimes, it would lag the whole fucking thing and cover the VTuber in confetti, stars, or whatever from head to toe. And if your app didn't crash at that point, you were pretty lucky if it didn't. In other words, it was a shit show from start to finish. But when it comes to Anive, that's something we're going to be also discussing in depth, as I have prepared a video from a former talent that streamed on Anive. And Anive itself had its own like VTuber project. I do believe it was called the Jumpstart project, where Anive would give prospective VTubers the opportunity to become VTubers. They got models, they got like some minor support, and then they could try out streaming on Anive. I don't know too much about that beyond what I've said here. But in terms of what happened with Anive itself, the video from a former talent explains it all much better than I could ever. So we're gonna watch that later, as we first gonna talk about Harry so a little bit more, and analyze to the best of our ability and to the best of our knowledge of what he actually said during his. I don't even know what to call it, because the guy cries a lot in it. He blames himself while still kind of not being able to provide concrete or even well-researched arguments to back up his points. There's a lot of passing the blame there, despite him saying that he takes responsibility for what has happened to Nexus. But first of all, before we get to his post, I have some things prepared here, like the brief history of Nexus. to show you from the VTuber Wikia. Just a moment, I'll prepare that, and then we can look through the very brief history of Nexus, so you guys can, if you don't know anything about Nexus, this should at least give you a brief, simple introduction to what it was, and then the problems of why Nexus actually failed will become much more apparent when you see how much talents and how many they actually debuted in those waves of theirs. I'm not going to be reading all of this because a lot of this is irrelevant. It's mostly going to be, for the sake of archival, so you guys can go back to it later. So, what was known about Nexus dates back to 2023, even before December, because Nexus was funded by angel investors, and Harry So was very proud in announcing that Nexus has been fully funded and is gonna go operational very soon. They're gonna be announcing all of their prospects and shit like that. So on December 14th, Nexus announced that they had completed angel investing from investors that were involved in the early days of virtual YouTubing. I do not remember if those investors were ever disclosed, like who they actually were. I haven't looked into that, but it's not that much important for the sake of what we're going to be talking about later. But you do still have to understand that, this wasn't Harry So's own money. He managed to sell an idea to people, and people believed in it enough that they decided to give him money for it. And all of that money, unfortunately, went down the fucking drain. So, who those investors were that were involved from the very early days of virtual VTubing, I do not fucking know. There's tech bros everywhere. And by tech bros, I mean people that have way too much money and way too little knowledge about the industry that they're getting into. And Harry is one of those people, considering how badly they fumbled everything. And the rest is just, what happened to Nexus in the year of 2024. They're announcing a large video in February. They're announcing the funniest part here, that they're gonna be holding exclusive lectures from Punkalopi and Filian, popular VTubers in their own right, about, what it means to be a VTuber and how to make it big as a VTuber. That was a thing that Nexus did kind of briefly. I think they even invited Rima Evenstar to at one point to talk about how to avoid drama as a VTuber, as if that wouldn't be, something the school itself should provide that information to, their prospective VTubers, instead of inviting someone that does virtual YouTuber drama content. But if I was invited to something like that, I would decline, and I would question the agency itself if it's competent enough by making such choices. But we all now know that that's not the case with Nexus. Competency is not something that we're gonna be expecting from them, not anytime soon, at least. And all of that is just their participation in Offkai, promoting themselves in a lot of avenues, and then debuting their talents. I don't remember what specific point in time that was, but let me show you one specific thing here. This was their first wave. Yes, this was their debut. The first wave of these Nexus talents happened from the 26th to the 28th of April of last year, with 9 talents debuting in 30-minute sessions. Due to connection issues, Nell's debut had to be delayed to the 7th of June. Class Genesis' name is derived from the word Genesis, meaning the origin and which something comes into being, as they're the first class of Nexus to debut. And take a look how many of these people are there. Again, there's not much shade I can throw at any of them because, you know, they saw an opportunity for themselves and they decided to take it. And as they say, every shot you don't take is a missed shot. So, you know, at least they were brave enough to try something new. It didn't work out for the vast majority of them. Some of them are still going kinda strong. I'm not sure which one of them is the most popular one, but quite a few of them are still indies after Nexus closed down. They did manage to retain their IPs. At least Nexus did one thing right there, and you know, just didn't take their they didn't take their models away, luckily, so they could continue as they did. I know that Lulu Lasso is still going strong. Acelia Shipfield is still around, I do believe. As far as the rest of them, I really do not know. I only really followed those two in any kind of capacity, and you'd understand how that's normal to do with talents like these, because look how many there are. Over the course of just 3 days, they debuted this many talents, and 30 minutes just for a singular one of them is not nearly enough for a proper introduction or even to say what they're really about and what kind of content they would be doing on Anive, which is, you know, the same kind of content as anyone else would have, which is just Zatsudan, because that's what Anive actually allowed you to do. There was no other technical support, no other features that the app could have handled at that point in order to provide a better experience for the watcher. So as you can see here, this is where the first problem arises. There's too many cooks in that kitchen, too many N-words, as some people would say nowadays, and they lived like this. They had to live like this, unfortunately, and it was a huge fucking shit show. Because, you know, instead of supporting one of them, instead of supporting like a smaller wave of like say up to 5 talents, and I still think that 5 is quite a bit for a VTuber generation, especially from a company, they decided to do these battle royale like debuts where everyone had a limited time to sell themselves to their prospective audiences, and then just, you know, hope for the best, that they actually attracted enough attention for people to come back. And it was a very tough thing to come back anyway, because, you know, how Anive is. You could only watch these people on Anive or via restreams to Twitch. It's because some of them, you know, were smart enough to restream their stuff either to YouTube or Twitch, the actual platforms. So, in short chat, a lot of these guys debuted to a platform that nobody has ever heard about, a platform that had a very limited reach, a platform that was only available on mobile, which is already pretty bad, because, you know, you'd want to be able to debut your talents on as many platforms as you could, and on as many devices as you possibly could. Problem number 2, there's too many of them. How can you possibly watch all of them unless you just stick around long enough to, you know, actually garner some kind of interest in any of them? That's the second problem. And 3, how the hell do you support this many people equally? Like, how? It's kind of impossible unless you have a lot of resources. And these guys, as you will learn later, had absolutely no fucking resources. It's a factory for VTubers. If you think, you know, any color with the acceleration of wave upon waves of EN VTubers was bad, this is like this, just multiplied by 4, or even more than 4. I could even say multiplied by 5+. Multiplied by more than 5, because 27 of these guys in one wave. And you know what's funny? That's not even the last wave that they debuted, because there were more. There's Class Nebulink. That's what they call their waves, to go in line with the theme of it being an actual academia where people learn things about VTubing in order to have a VTubing career later on. There's Nebulink. Still so many fucking people in there. Then there's Class Yume. Smaller than the last two, but still fucking huge. How many people are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 people. Which is already quite huge for a VTuber generation. And you know, there's also the last one, Class Tensei, which was still fucking huge. They would debut on the 2nd, 3rd, 9th, and 10th of November 24, except for Pixie Pop and Serafina Cedric, who would debut at later dates. Luckily enough for Nexus, the VTuber wiki doesn't list much of their controversies, because those are kind of self-evident, and a lot of them kind of went on the wayside because people stopped caring very quickly about all of this. You know, it turns out that in order to make money with a VTuber agency, you actually have to garner some sort of popularity. You have to have people watching you. And when you have people that are 1 or 2 views, by that I mean people that have concurrent viewer numbers in single or double digits, that's not gonna fly. Even if you have even if these specific VTubers that were popular have whales, that's not gonna work out as a business model. And you know, this is the reason why people call this the Battle Royale VTuber agency, because only the best of the best out of all of these classes were supposed to make it into the final VTuber agency. But you know, Harry So himself, I think, best explains what went wrong. And by best, I mean he explains it very badly. Because he has certain notions about VTubing that are completely wrong. I don't know where the hell he got them. I have some theories that I'm gonna explore during this stream, where he got these specific ideas about why all of this was necessary and why this was the next step for VTuber agencies. I have some theories here and there, and we're gonna get to them. Do not worry. So that was your brief overlook at what Nexus, how Nexus was structured. And now we come to Mr. Harry himself, the owl person that's so at the forefront of all of this. Because if you ever actually heard of Nexus, you've probably seen that fucking owl pop up here and there. You're much less likely to have seen the talents, and are much more likely to have seen the fucking owl. So Harry, in recent times, decided to make a blog post about what went wrong with Nexus, and decided to whine a little bit about everything. First, he made a post in Japanese. Some people Google translated that to English, but then Harry saw that it was getting some sort of traction on social media, and he got an actual official translation going. So to give, excuse me, to be fair to him, we're gonna be reading his official English translation, so there's no misunderstanding to his words that could have happened if we read a machine-translated version of his blog post. And it's a very lengthy one. This is gonna be probably most of the stream here. I do also have a part of it dedicated to Anive, because Anive was its own separate but at the same time connected shit show. Because these two things are attached at the hip. You cannot think Nexus and Anive as separate entities when it comes to streaming. So this is the post here on his what was the thing actually called? I forgot what the website was called where he posted that blog post. I'll link it to you later if you so desire to read it yourself. But there it is, with a very fitting title: How I needed to shut down Nexus Academia in 1 year, by Kuri at 4 creators. This is the official translation of my original blog post in Japanese. Introduction. I am Harry, CEO from a company for creators, which is kind of ironic, considering that the company was made to make money first and foremost. Fuck the creators. Should have been called Fuck Creators instead of For Creators, but again, that's just me being petty. We established the company in Singapore in October 2023, and now, as we finish quarter 1 of our second fiscal year, we are operating as a startup. This article is about how I launched an English-focused V-Mobile live streamer agency. And if you're confused about what the fuck is V-Mobile, so am I, and I do believe he explains that term going forward. What the fuck is a V-Mobile streamer agency? I will explain the definition later, as he says. And in just 1 year, ended up shutting it down. As I write this note on January 31st, 2025, the final day of the agency, I thought it would be a good milestone to look back on everything from founding the company up to the pivot in our business. The title makes it sound like a bold story, but it's not a tale of heroic feats at all. I made a ton of mistakes and have many regrets. I'm writing this from my perspective in the hope that it helps someone out there. Think of it like a lesson in failure as a management. As humble as he makes it sound here, and him taking responsibility for what he did, he does blame a whole lot of people for for the agency failing ultimately, but we'll get to that. Why an English-speaking V-Mobile live streamer agency? First of all, let me talk about why I decided to start an English-focused V-Mobile live streamer agency, which is a fucking mouthful. What motivated me and what led up to it? Definition of mobile live streamer agency. This is an additional paragraph to the original Japanese version to make sure the definitions. ESL moment. But before moving on, please allow me to explain the definition of the term V-Mobile live streamer agency, as it's where most of the misinterpretations happens between Asian and Western audience, and I'd like you all to understand the difference with VTuber agency correctly. In Japan, there is a distinction between VTuber agencies, managing online entertainment primarily stream on platforms like YouTube or Twitch, using anime-style avatars, and mobile live streamer agency, managing live streamers on mobile-specific apps. I don't know how true that is, because I haven't looked into these specific Japanese terms, but personally, I think he just kinda he's pulling that shit out of his ass. Unless there's these mobile live streamer agencies out there with the V-Mobile streamers, because this is from him. This is the first time I hear about it. I watch a lot of Japanese VTuber agencies, and this is the first time I've heard that term being spoken or being typed down here. So again, I have no idea. I'm lacking context for this. But again, what it means, what is this V-Mobile live streamer shit? What it means, a V-Mobile live stream agency is an agency focused on managing virtual streamers, primarily live stream on smartphone-based streaming apps, such as Reality, Iriam, TikTok Live, etc. These streaming apps are popular in Asia and increasingly worldwide for casual, smartphone-driven live content. Unlike a typical VTuber agency that might have fewer talents streaming on big global platforms like YouTube/Twitch, Mobile live stream agency often has very large numbers of talents, sometimes 100, 500, or even 1,000 under one agency, which again feels like a factory of people. Just get as much as you can out of the number of people you can have streaming, and hope the revenue they make collectively will be enough to keep your lights on, which kinda isn't. Irium US, and not just Irium, as the Japanese company. I believe, I do believe Irium is Japanese, and I do have very little knowledge of them, of these smartphone based, of these specific mobile focused agencies. So again, he might be right about this. I don't know, but considering, you know, that all of this shit is overshadowed by the likes of things like Anycolor, by the likes of HoloLive, by the likes of even other smaller Japanese and Western VTuber agencies, I don't think it's making much of an impact. So why do you focus on something like this? I do not know. Because, you know, in business, as in most things in life, copying something is not a bad thing. Copying good practices, copying what works, and applying that to your own business is the way to go forward. And if you manage to establish yourself by copying someone and already gathering some sort of audience for your business, in the entertainment industry that is, then you can start thinking about, you know, innovating shit. Then you can start thinking about, how do I make myself stand out among all of these giants? What do I do to help my talents prosper? What can I have them do? What can I advise them to do in order to have our company stand out among these, you know, colossi rather, among these colossi of the industry. So again, all of this is just en masse, and I don't know how it's making a profit. Maybe it's successful in Asia, maybe it isn't. Maybe he's just talking out of his ass. I do not fucking know. Why it's different from a VTuber agency? Platform focus. They focus on apps meant for mobile devices, often designed for real-time audience interaction, gifting, tipping, and casual chats. That's one thing about, you know, that's one good thing about these mobile specific VTuber platforms, is because you have one-to-one and real-time interaction with the VTuber. There's no chat lag in there. There's no delay. At least there shouldn't be, because if there is, you might as well fucking go on Twitch and YouTube. And even on YouTube, there's options for zero delay under specific conditions. Not sure as much for Twitch, but I know there's an option like that for YouTube at least. So again, that's a good thing, actually. Talent numbers. Because it's a volume-driven business, many smaller streamers versus a few top earners, these agencies tend to recruit or manage far more talents. And by manage and recruit, it means that they recruit them and then they forget about them most of the time. The whole concept of Nexus is coming from the V-Mobile live streamer agency instead of VTuber agency. What I used to do and what I want to do. I'm half Japanese, half Taiwanese. Grew up loving anime, manga, and all sorts of content, and spent my college days more on studying abroad and interning overseas than actually going to class. Well, maybe going to some kind of class would have helped. Maybe some business management could have helped with that. I joined a company running one of the live streaming apps called 17 Live, pronounced as Ichinana, as a new graduate in October 2019. After about half a year before COVID started, for about 3 years I worked as an assistant of the CEO of the global CEO's office under Mr. Ono at the time. While there, I experienced the live streaming industry explosive growth during the pandemic. Witnessed how Ichinana tried to expand into the US and the Middle East and failed. Wow. I wonder how that happened. Are you gonna tell me that a market so incredibly saturated by VTubers did not allow such a niche within a niche to exist on a niche platform as well, where people can, where people don't even know it exists? I wonder how the fuck that happened. Why did it fail? It's a mystery. And watch as everything gradually got taken over by TikTok Live. It was a jam-packed 3 years after I went independent for about a year. I worked in entertainment and Web3 space as a freelance business developer and marketer with a strong passion for creator economy industry, and I founded my company. So essentially, he doesn't say much about what he did and what his competencies were. This kind of seems like he did a lot of things with various levels of success. Probably not much. Having an interest in leveraging my strengths, global business entertainment. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, strength. That's why your whole fucking business venture failed, because that was one of your strengths. The creator economy, I began exploring possible ventures. That's when I set my sights on overseas VTuber market. I thought, I want to take on the challenge in overseas markets with a culture that originated in Japan. Right before founding the company, I traveled around anime conventions in Southeast Asia and North America. Arranged meetings with the local VTuber agency CEOs and gathered insights into these markets, forming a few hypotheses along the way. I do know for a fact that he has contact, quite the intimate contact with V-Shoujo's Gunrun. Don't know who else. I could imagine he had some connections to Idol at some point, but I do know that he had connections to V-Shoujo at least. Initial hypotheses and goals. A time lag of several years between Japan and the global market. VTubers are one of the rare new forms of culture to originate in Japan. A major trend started in Japan and spread worldwide thanks to the companies like Cover and Anycolor. But each market seems to be a slightly different phase. I got the impression that today's Japan might be where overseas markets will be in a few years. Maybe 3 to 4 years later. In some ways, I think Western VTubing is lagging behind Japan, actually. Instead of the opposite. I think he has like the wrong outlook on all of this. In terms of success, as VTuber agencies go, Japan is way ahead of anything that's in the West. In terms of VTuber agencies, that is. So I don't know where he got that impression. A coming wave of the long tail. When I talk to people in the overseas V community, does he mean like the VTuber community? The industry? I'm not sure. Every single one of them said the YouTube and Twitch are oversaturated. Too many competitors. But had no viable alternatives. In Japan, platforms like Reality or Irium serve as next steps, but overseas, it hasn't fully developed yet. Because it's not needed. Platforms like Twitch and YouTube are so big. They're shit, don't get me wrong. They're shit. But that's what people use, and that's what people are used to. They won't go to something unknown, especially something that provides a lesser user experience. They weren't looking for alternatives. If they were looking for alternatives, it had to be better than Twitch and YouTube. Because otherwise, you're just dead in the water. If it's just going to be mobile, and if your VTuber is just going to, have their model center stage on screen, and the only thing they're going to be able to do is talk to people, then that's not going to fly. People nowadays expect a lot of shit from VTubers. Not just talking, not just having a model center stage on screen and the VTuber talking to them. They expect all kinds of bells and whistles. So if your app cannot provide that much at least, then no, it's not gonna work, because people are used to something much better, something much more advanced than that. Reality is growing explosively in North America, but I heard from creators that making an avatar in the US is extremely expensive. Local illustrators can cost more than double compared to Japan. It's just not feasible for many. In Japan, you can find cheaper options on sites like Coconala or Booth. But that's not really accessible there. I feel that most people try to become VTubers. The rise of long-tail content creators would inevitably arrive. Long tail is a business term referring to the idea that in the digital age, niche content or smaller scale creators collectively attract a significant audience. Rather than having only a few mainstream hits or top stars, an increasing number of small creators can survive and thrive because the internet lowers distribution and marketing costs. While that may be true in concept, again, VTubing is so oversaturated nowadays, both in Japan and in the West, that making it big, making it to the point where you can actually learn a living out of this is only possible for like less than 1% of people. For many, it's a hobbyist thing, but if you want to make this into a living, you just won't make it. You just won't. Like, that's the reality of this shit. That's just how it is nowadays. So again, conceptually not incorrect, but wrong factually, because that's the reality of VTubing nowadays. That's the reality of VTubing the year 2025, the current year. And there's this chart he made here, what he meant by long tail, like how he sees VTubing. Let's zoom in on that. Platform formed. YouTube, Twitch. Platform put huge budget to acquire creators and benefit creators. Big stars born. Kizunai, Hololive, Niji Sanji. Big stars who could earn big money and popularity show up. There's missing a lot of very big indies and other companies here, because Hololive wasn't the first, and even before Niji Sanji, there were the big four, as they called them. Big agencies: Vispo, VShoujo, Brave Group. Many agencies follow the stars and try to replicate them. Well, that's not entirely true. VShoujo already hired people that were huge, that were very big, and decided to organize themselves like that, and then they just keep hiring the same big people, which VShoujo gets a lot of shit for nowadays, because at this point, how many months or years ago did they have recruitment open where you could apply to be a VTuber at VShoujo, and all they did so far was just invite their friends or other huge creators. And I know they get shit for that. And coming to long tail, independent VTubers, middle low tier agencies. Know-how and tools are shared. Creators go long tailed, competition gets intense. Yes, there is a lot of competition, but the top dogs are still top dogs. And as we've seen from the last 2 years at least, so many VTuber agencies just went the way of the fucking dodo. They just died. Smaller to medium-sized VTuber agencies just fucking failed. As you know, as big as some of the VTubers were in a lot of these middle of the road VTuber agencies, like up to 4-view status, rarely, might I add, they still didn't earn enough revenue to, you know, keep the lights on in those specific agencies. So even with that, it wasn't good enough. a new platform, Irium, Reality, TikTok. Move to new platform to become stars and earn money more easily. And see, I see where this all fails, because as I stated before, platforms like Twitch and YouTube offer you the ability to, show a lot more than Irium, Reality, and TikTok do, and especially what Anive fucking does. They're very limited in scope on what you can do as a VTuber on these platforms. So unless you have a golden tongue and you were born with the charisma of Adolf Hitler, you won't succeed just by talking to people. VTubers need to do and show a lot more to stand out. Just by having the gift of the gab is not good enough nowadays, unless you're super extremely lucky and you're able to do something with that. But again, you will really have to hit it big. You have to hit all of the coincidences, all of the stars in the sky have to align for you to make it big. It just doesn't work like that. So I don't know what came to them that, mobile, just going fully mobile is the next big thing for VTubers. Do you guys remember that other shitty thing? I forgot what it was called at this point anymore. It was so long ago. But Oshi something. And they tried to do a similar thing. But they tried to, get VTubers to go and use their app by hosting very shitty VTuber awards. I forgot what they were called. Oshi something. I know they put a strike on my video because I talked about them while using their video from a conference of one of their founders and shit. I forgot what it was called. Oshi something. God damn it! I should remember this, but I don't. It just flew from my mind. Either way, they tried to get people on their mobile app, and it didn't even have the ability to show like a model and shit. It was just voice, and that's something they wanted to advertise to fucking VTubers, People that rely on both audio and visuals, especially visuals, and they just had audio. So again, this is just a recipe for disaster and failure. But let's move on from this. Because the business model of a V-mobile streamer, live streamer agency is heavily dependent on platforms, it's relatively easy to generate revenue without burning too much capital, as long as the platforms can pay us well. Oh, I get it. That's what it was about. It never was about supporting the VTubers and the talents. It was just about generating a lot of money while putting very low amounts of your own capital into it. And I get it. Companies are there to make money. But you know how it is within VTubing. When VTuber fans see their talents being mistreated within an agency, you have a shit show brewing. And that happens all the time with like agencies like fucking Niji Sanji, of course. Of course, you also have others like Vector and tons of others that I covered on my own channel too. So that's how it is. You have to treat your VTubers right first and foremost in order to earn people's trust. It's not just enough to have really cool talents on board that attract a lot of people to them. You also yourself have to have a good reputation as an agency, otherwise it's not gonna work out very well. And then he continues, my idea was to run a V-Mobile live stream agency to generate substantial cash flow, strengthen our network, and leverage this foundation to explore new opportunities within the industry. One of the ideas I've been explaining to talents was establishing the VTuber agency that focuses on multi-platforms on top of Nexus. Yeah, but at the same time, you didn't allow your talents to expand themselves and actually generate that attention to you. You instead decided for them to stream on a very unknown platform that was Anive, that nobody fucking gave a shit about. Concerns about the value of an agency. However, I always had major concerns about the agency model. The evolving creator economy is reducing the value of agencies. I disagree, considering how again, as much shit as any color gets, as much as Niji-san GN gets, Niji-sanji in itself is still going strong. Hololive itself is still going strong. A VTuber agency like Face Connect is steadily growing. It from something middle of the road, it's growing into one of the biggest ones. The talents are constantly growing, and their business venture is expanding into a lot of other things. They have a lot more appearances during VTuber-related events, and they're certainly doing something with that. So, saying that evolving creator economy is reducing the value of agencies is just a statement that's completely wrong. That's not how it is. Thanks to more online tools, creators can now independently gather information to find work and produce content. I feel that it's getting harder to define an agency's exclusive value. Things only an agency can do. Meanwhile, a Liver's agency model often depends on volume. Rather than having 10 talents who earn each 10 million yen, it's about having 100 talents who each earn 1 million yen. When I was in 17 Live, I saw so many so-called management agencies that basically took fees without really supporting their talents. Well, what the fuck did you do with your Nexus classes, with your Nexus talents? You just gave them a model, and that was it. Where was support after that? If there was any support, if you ever decided to promote any of them, maybe it would have turned out differently, but you're gonna criticize other people's management skills where your own are lacking, so I don't know where he fucking gets off to say shit like that. I strongly did not want to become that kind of exploitative agency. Whoa. Funny how that turned out, isn't it, chat? The genuinely comprehensive support for each talent is very difficult to scale, because each talent doesn't earn a huge amount individually in this model, or nothing, by the way. The management cost allocated per talent inevitably has to be lower than agencies exclusively select only a few talents. Cultural differences in North America, specifically North America, is pointed out here. In North America, there really aren't streamer agencies in this model. There are barely any agencies that manage over 10 VTubers. How do you build credibility when you want to manage a large number of talents in a market where the word agency can have very different nuance than the one in Japan? In Japan, the company often has a stronger position than creators. In North America, it's completely the opposite. The talent hires the company to do what they can't do alone. Unless you deliver clear benefits they can't get independently, it's not really an agency. I've been thinking about this business model since before founding the company. How can we export the Japanese streamer agency model to North America? Don't do it, because it doesn't work. That should have been your first thought. If something doesn't work in North America, and it's not just North America, he specifically pointed out North America because the biggest shit comes from North America. But VTuber fans are worldwide, so it's not just fucking Ameriburgers. But again, his first thought should be just don't do it. Subject yourself to this North American VTuber agency model and try to weasel your way in by doing things that they do right, and as I said before, and then when you do actually garner that attention, try to do things that are different that would attract attention. But he did the opposite. He tried to force the Japanese way into it, where the agencies would be kings. The answer for myself, the academia concept. In the midst of all of this, we came up with what we call the academia model. Aim for an agency like My Hero Academia. And we laughed about this in my previous stream because this was the most fucking chunibyo idea for a business that I've heard. We envisioned an academy where people who want to become VTubers gather to learn, compete, and push one another to grow. We provide regular lectures. Yeah, regular lectures. How many did they provide? Like 2, 3 in the span of the year? What the fuck did you actually teach these VTubers? If anything, I think they taught the VTubers how not to do stuff by, the VTubers noticing what doesn't work in the agency itself, what doesn't work in this academia concept, and then doing the exact opposite. And guess fucking what? The ones that actually did survive the VTuber Battle Royale are the people that didn't play by the rules of this academia concept, and they just, expanded to streaming to YouTube and Twitch, and that's how they fucking survived, because no one fucking gave a shit about Anive. Funny how that turned out. They were taught something, but not in the way you intended. So it's a positive, but it's an only positive because the people, some of the people that you got on board were smarter than you, and saw that shit stink from a mile away. We provide regular lectures, shared assets, and bonuses as incentives. In return, from the outset, would not offer extensive one-on-one management to talents. So essentially, do whatever the fuck you want. We invited talents who understood and accepted that approach by explaining the concept many times during auditions and selection process, and we understand that this is far from the most of the current VTuber agencies. And this is their scheme here, which is also funny that it's a fucking pyramid. So yeah, essentially that's what they wanted here. They wanted, it be conceptualized as a class where people learn from another, where people compete against one another to reach greater heights, and then the best of the best out of that would get into this wonderful VTuber agency where everyone is supposed to be successful. Become a launchpad for the next generation of VTubers. Our idea was to serve an academia for prospective VTubers, rather than starting out on YouTube or Twitch, which is already a mistake, as I said many times before. We'd have them begin their careers on a new mobile streaming platform. The best of them, those who achieved results, would move up to full-service talent agency that offered more management resources and multi-platform options, aiming to become top stars. That was the ideal blueprint we had in mind. Rather than an ideal blueprint, I would call it an idealistic blueprint, because, again, only conceptually does it work for them in their own minds. And that's ignoring the landscape of VTubing as it is right now. See, this is their plan here. A starting foundation from Nexus, and moving on to this new agency that, will never likely come to be at this point, because Nexus is fucking dead. It's dead, Jim. Initial launch. The first few months were nothing but trial and error. I'd cross out this trial here, and I just say the first few months were nothing but error. They spent talking with talents, door knocking on English-speaking talents. First, we hired an American staff member. We asked him to contact as many independent VTubers and streamers as possible. Anyone who showed interest was then scheduled for an online meeting with me. Since I was based in Asia and our talents were in North America, it was normal to have meetings in the middle of the night. I'm not a native English speaker, but when you talk to new people daily, you get pretty comfortable quickly getting to know each other. Yeah, but I don't know how well he speaks English, but when you talk business to someone, it's and especially on the level of conducting business, You'll best be fucking proficient and not go through a middleman. I don't know if he had a middleman, if he had an interpreter with him during that sort of thing, but he better fucking did if he was gonna, you know, talk business with these people. Positive reactions from talents. Building a community with a one-team feeling. Though repeated pitches introducing myself, our concept, and asking them to join our talents, many people responded positively to the idea of Nexus. They seemed to like our concept, the idea of connecting with other like-minded talents, and being part of a community. I was recruiting them the same way a startup recruits in early team members. Join this brand new ship. We successfully interviewed and welcomed new talents into the community, and then naturally gathered in our Discord voice chats to play games all night and hang out. Early on, there was a strongly positive atmosphere. I really felt the excitement of something new beginning. Well, you know, that's no different from people playing online games together. You explained the concept to them, and then you went on to play games and talk on Discord. But, you know, when push came to shove, and you had to actually conduct business, when it was time to stream, when it was time to go to Anive, all that shit kind of collapsed, didn't it? Marketing strategy. How do we dispel concerns about an unknown agency? With our first wave of about 30 talents ready to debut, we move on to the launch marketing. As a new player without major backing or a proven track record, earning trust was key for us to gain fans in the English-speaking market. That's where we turned to collaborations with high-profile established talents. Through introductions and random DMs, I managed to contact with well-known EN VTubers like Filian and Lopi, who graciously agreed to share their insights or talents as guest lecturers. See, that's the problem with advertising yourself while using someone more popular to earn yourself some kind of street cred. People like Filian and Lopi are gonna come in with their own, you know, fan bases, and then when their turn is done doing the thing that you hired them to do, because I doubt they did it for free. I wouldn't do it for free, especially for such a nobody agency. When they're done, they just go away, and you have to count that you know, their fans are gonna stay with them. And that's usually not the fucking case, because people come to specific VTubers and just stay with those specific VTubers. There's not that many people out there that watch every single VTuber out there. It's just, I think that's it. Like, people that watch, let's say, up to 5 VTubers regularly is not even the norm. I can kind of imagine that there are people out there that just watch 2 and 3, you know, in the fashion of watching full streams, not clips, just watching them regularly on that kind of basis, and then they're, you know, they're saturated. Their time is, all of their time is occupied. So, people, you know, following Filian and Lopi and seeing them advertise this kind of agency, they're not going to be convinced to stay at that agency when they can just come back to Filian and Punka Lopi and then just go to any other established talent. Why would they waste their time on this specific agency? You have to advertise your own shit, not advertise Filian and Lopi for that by Filian and Lopi giving lectures about that. I don't even know what that lecture looked like from Filian. Like, Filian is not Filian is not a lecturer. That's for sure. So I don't know how that went. I know Punka Lopi is a lot better with words than Filian is. That's for fucking sure. So I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with this. It just seems like something that is dead in the water. They talked about how they grew their subscriber base from thousands to hundreds of thousands, how they create their content, their daily routines and mindset. They packed an incredible amount of knowledge into these sessions. As a moderator, I was also a huge fan, so I couldn't help asking a bunch of questions. I truly can't thank them enough. Well, Fillion does a lot of flips. Fillion does a lot of flips. And she got popular off of VR chat. And sometimes, you know, it's just luck. Luck and a little bit of charisma, being in the right place at the right time. What worked for both Fillion and for Punkalopi doesn't have to fucking work for anybody else. What the kind of advice one would give that's universal is, you know, to have a schedule, to be regular with your streaming, to inform your viewers of when you're going to be streaming, what you're going to be streaming, and how you're going to be streaming, and engage them in that way. Like, that's the bare basics. So if they told them at least that, then those lectures weren't, you know, for nothing. But if they just used their own personal experience and, you know, adjusted it to other people, I don't think that's a thing that is going to work for everybody. Because luck is still a factor, whether you believe it or not. You have to get into the right set of coincidences in order to make it big. Hard work alone is good, of course. Being regular with your streaming is something every content creator should have if they want to make it into a business. But again, it's just not something from a personal experience that can work for fucking everybody. You can work your ass off and you still won't make it because you just haven't hit the algorithm right. You haven't talked about the right things. You didn't trend enough. People didn't discover you. A person that's very popular didn't shout you out. There's millions upon millions of factors that can get into becoming popular on the internet. And most of the time you just won't fucking make it. And that's how it is. Let's continue. A huge controversy in its aftermath. This is the one that I want to talk about quite a bit. Just when we were all set and ready, right before the group's debut, streams went live. It happened. The storm of negative comments. Remember this particular thing? This schedule that raised quite a few eyebrows for the debuts of the first class of Nexus. Each one having 30 fucking minutes to show what they got. And so fucking many. You could have seen how this would have attracted a negative sort of fucking attention. This is like going in without fucking lube. I have to fucking say. That's the shell shock here. We posted about the Academia concept. Academia concept, our plan to debut 27 talents over 3 days, and the schedule we'd been preparing for months. But the response was a flood of harsh comments. This definitely won't work. It didn't. This defiles all known conventions. Yes, it does. This broke all the conventions of what VTuber fans were used to. Why would they do something so reckless? Because they thought the model worked for Japan, and if they fucking brute forced it over in the West, they thought they're gonna get something out of it. Who's this idiot founder? Well, I'll give you a glimpse of how that idiot fucking founder acted. I covered that in the last stream, but I'll dedicate a few minutes of how this retard acted when criticism was levied his way. We saw a barrage of negativity. Their perspective, they knew nothing about us, and you knew nothing about Western VTubing, so feelings fucking mutual. We were launching a large number of unknown talents on an unfamiliar platform. It's understandable they were confused. Still, some comments took aim at the talents themselves, calling them stupid for joining this new agency. They really hurt the talents' motivation. Don't you fucking pretend that you're about the talents here. You gave very little shit, considering how your fucking model worked out. Sure, they might have, you know, applied this shit willingly, but you created something that's ultimately very fucking toxic, especially when it comes to Westerners working with it. Honestly, seeing something you worked on for half a year get torn apart right before your eyes was emotionally overwhelming. I got a bit emotional, responded to some of the comments in a confrontational tone and ended up pouring more fuel on the fire, something I deeply regret. Let's take a look at some of those. Let's take a look at how this dumbass fucking acted. Let's let me get those screenshots in. That's something you guys really need to see. We get them in, and after that we can continue with his struggle session. Let's call it that. Let's call it Harry's struggle session. History CEO. This is the funniest shit. This is one of the funniest one of the funniest shrimp bait accounts called Donnie Darko. I fucking love the guy. He does excellent fucking best bait posts, and Harry bit it right into one. It's an exclusive app. Even the Whole Life lost half of its viewer base streaming on Twitch. Is this a good idea? And Harry responded with, "That's why new platform has big opportunity for new VTubers." Why so many VTubers on an exclusive app? This seems to be a bad idea to separate your audience's potential so thin. That's very right. New platform always brings new opportunities. You'll see what it means. It meant jack shit. Spoilers. Feel bad for these 27 individuals who are being used to promote a dead-on-arrival streaming platform. It was... I don't know what he meant by this set of emojis, but they feel fucking passive-aggressive. I say this is something passive-aggressive. You guys can decode what he meant here. I would be very grateful. I don't know what the fuck he meant by that. By this set of emojis, but again, feels fucking passive-aggressive to me. Good luck for them, but massively introducing 25 plus VTubers in a span of 3 days is bad practice. You'll see. So confident. 27 debuts across 3 days on an obscure proprietary app that requires you sign up for it by filling out a Google form doc. Yeah, that's another thing about the Anive thing. To get access to that fucking shit, you needed to go and fucking sign a Google doc form. It was a fucking application to get on it. Like, think about that. Think about how that limited them even further. I've seen so much better business plans fail horribly. This is cruel. What's your business plan? You'll never know what we're up to. Fucking demise. That's like a child. What a child would react to. And what's your where is your business plan, buddy? I don't see any of your business plans in front of me. You don't need to be in the same business to criticize someone's business. Let's go. Getting criticism is good sign that we're doing a new thing basic people can't understand. Our true battle starts here. See, chat? You just don't get it. Getting shat on means they're doing something good. I know many people that said shit like that never recovered in their online careers. Just because you're getting attention and that attention is negative doesn't mean you're doing something good. And calling your fucking prospective audience basic is even fucking worse. Basic people can't understand. What a fucking asshole. 3. The Battle Royale environment you're rumored to be doing, if true, will drastically discourage future applicants and bring bad PR, which is another disadvantage to your model. Again, start with a reasonable amount. Thank you for your amazing plan. Good luck with your business. Passive-aggressive asshole. I think not losing money would make mine win by default, to be honest. He was so right by that, by the way. So fucking right. Hi, S1. Please allow me to apologize for how I reacted in this thread. What you said has some very fair and valid points. We are trying something different with new platform. And I hope to build a positive environment with unique opportunities for all of our talents. My actions were unprofessional and I sincerely apologize for my messages. I hope we will support our talents despite as they have all worked extremely hard for this. Thank you. Well, that doesn't work that way, Harry. You now fucked it up and the internet never fucking forgets. Your apologies mean jack shit. I'll go poke all the people who want to criticize Nexus just because you see the number of talents and new platform. Smiling emoji. You'll never know what we're working on. And I won't forgive people who just want to be a blocker of industry growth. Shut up, you fucking dumbass. You just wanted to make a quick fucking profit out of a model that you see work. Allegedly. Allegedly you saw a working model and you fucking tried to brute force it into a Western fucking environment. Stop fucking pretending this is for industry growth. This is for your own fucking sake. Criticism is expected, especially with such an out-of-the-norm stunt in everything you've shown so far. If you prove me those other critics wrong, then good, he didn't. If not, it's unfortunate that everyone there that would have invested all their time and effort. Yep, we'll try to prove it. Thank you. Try. Yeah, try. You didn't even fucking try. I can't help but feel you're setting up talents for failure with this. Having 27 debuts at pretty much at the same time is actually insane. This is going to turn into a battle royale of talents having to fight against each other for viewership. You're competing with yourself. Glad to get a criticism from a dummy account with 0 follower. Oh, Harry. Harry, you need to terminate. Turn yourself off. And then he apologized with the fucking chat GPT ass apology. Like that other one. I'm not even reading this shit because it's just all groveling. So yeah, that's what he did. That's a sure fucking fire way to advertise your incredibly niche fucking business plan. To shit on people. And acting like a child. Saying, where's your business plan, motherfucker? But yeah, let's continue reading his cry for help. Let me get back the post where we left on real quick, because there's more whining. Believe it or not, he whines some more after this. Do you know what a drama tuber is? Yeah. You're kind of being featured on one stream. There are streamers all over the world who love gossip and scandals. I do love my gossip and scandals, but more than gossip and scandals, I love me some fucking facts that I can back up with evidence. That's what I fucking love, chat. More than gossip and scandals and people acting out, I love showing how people are terrible with evidence to back it up. And we all fall prey to them. Just before the talent's debut, various drama tubers dug up my LinkedIn, Twitter, and even my past company information on their streams. And I lost my emotions while watching them criticize me with misunderstandings and misinterpretations. I think it was a good experience now. No matter what I did, my mind wouldn't work at all. So I cancelled all MTG and stayed in a sauna near my house for about 5 hours to meditate and somehow change my mood. I was so fucking distressed. I took a flight to Bahamas, fucked 5 high-class escorts, everyone worth like $1,000 per hour, drank a fucking martini, and then ate my fucking caviar out of a fucking bucket. I was so fucking distressed I couldn't even fucking think. Poor fucking me. God damn. Have a little bit of self-awareness, Harry. No one gives a shit about your problems. Even if I was depressed, my debut stream would start the next day, so I apologized to the talent and told myself, my team, and the talent to just do my best without thinking about unnecessary things. Mary's public execution broadcast? As the controversy grew, I received a DM from Meriwether, one of the top VTubers with 400,000 followers on X and 500,000 on YouTube and 300,000 on Twitch, asking me, by the way, he got that not by being a VTuber, he got it by a lot of other means. Especially using other people's ability to draw. Him as a writer is his credit to that shit. I would never call him like a top VTuber in any fucking capacity. If anything, he's a top leech. Twitch asking me to talk on my channel. He said he's president of a webtoon company and a VTuber agency. I was genuinely interested in the concept. I decided to appear on Mary's stream without hesitation, thinking if I don't clear up a misunderstanding here, there will be no turning back. And yeah, they had the stream, and spoilers, ass kissing ensued, because that's what Meriwether does. That's what he fucking does. Meriwether's content, if you want to call it that, is social media acceptable content, and for everyone. If anyone disagrees in any kind of bigger capacity with what he said, especially on Twitter, he's gonna delete that shit like a coward and pretend it never fucking happened. That's how this guy operates. He's always gonna make some kind of post that's either bait for something, oh boy do I know many VTubers that do that, or make a post that, you know, nobody can disagree with. Until someone fucking disagrees with it, then he gets fucking cold feet and runs the fuck away. He's the biggest coward I know in fucking VTubing. And that's a fucking fact. This was a gamble. I was bombarded with questions in a live stream in a language that I wasn't a native speaker of, without making any mistakes that would be a reward for drama tubers. Nobody gave a shit about that stream, by the way. And not being informed of the questions in advance, so it could have been a public execution. If anyone but Mary interviewed this guy, it would have been an execution. They would have asked him actual difficult questions. Mary asked no difficult fucking questions. It was all just fellating. Fellating endlessly. It's a fucking miracle the guy fucking even managed to get away from Mary's dick-sucking lips. I had asked some people who knew Mary beforehand, and they told me that she what do you mean she? She wasn't the kind of person that expressed her own opinions or being fair and close to her fans. Did I fucking get the Japanese one? This has to be the fucking Japanese one instead of the English one. Let me get the Japanese version of this, because this doesn't fucking seem right. This must be the Japanese version that's machine translated. Let's get the English one. Let's see if there was the English one. Okay, there it is. He and his fans is in the English one, at least, because that would be fucking funny. It would be fucking funny if Mary was a she in his eyes. This is the proper English one, chat. My bad. Even though it was funny. However, people who knew Mary told me that he's not someone who maliciously attacks guests. He takes a fair stance, aligning with fans, but also expressing his own views. So I resolved to be totally honest, straightforward, and passionate. focusing on correcting misconceptions. I spent 1.5 hours answering tough questions from Mary. There were no tough questions, chat. And his fans, sweating through my English. Before going live, I was nervous. I couldn't eat, but thankfully I didn't say anything that caused some misunderstanding, I guess. Because again, nobody gave a shit. No, absolutely nobody gave a shit. Outcome: Mary and I became good friends because Mary has another thing. He weasels himself into the good graces of popular people, and that's how he gets connections. Too bad I don't think Nexus was fucking ever mentioned after that in any capacity other than this lecture thing that, again, nobody fucking cares about. After that, Mary openly supported Nexus. The negative comments subsided because if Mary endorses them, maybe it's okay. He even volunteered to hold special lectures for us. We ended up going out to eat together and he really saved us. I cannot thank you enough. N-word. The fucking critical comments stowed because nobody gave a shit. Up until the point. Nobody gave a shit. It's not that Mary saved you fucking guys. It's just that nobody gave an absolute shit about this. And what you were doing with Nexus at that point. Everyone but fucking VT. Yes, fucking VT of all fucking places. That had the regular, funnily called Battle Royale general threads about fucking Nexus VTubers. Beyond that, nobody fucking gave a shit. Seriously. Mary didn't do anything to either help you avoid further controversies or to help promote you. You do not fucking realize how little of a push this guy has into anything. He has his own fucking thing in Astroline and nobody gives a shit about that too. Biggest VTuber my fucking butt. Early successes. Thanks. Let's see what this guy considers a success, by the way. Thanks to that controversy, ironically, our name got more attention. The debut performance on launch day was great. Fans had prepared a ton, performed amazingly, and viewers were excited. They got fucking double-digit views. At the time, our partner platform was pumping in big promotional budgets, so the more talents streamed, the more they earned. Some of the streamers even earned more than 2,000 in their first month of streaming, which is extremely difficult if you start streaming Kuri on YouTube or Twitch. This is public info. I do wonder who earned that kind of money in there. The events were highly competitive. I had the early stage thrill unique to a new live streaming app. It kind of feels like he's coloring the truth here. I won't outright say that he's lying about this, but I would like him to actually link to that, because I'm not sure how much of the truth that is. That some of them earned 2k in a month. I wonder. I do remember Anive had this sort of thing that they showed an actual earning amount of like per week, per month of particular streamers that were streaming on their app. I know that thing doesn't work now anymore because Anive went into hiatus to go into phase 2 of their plan. They're like advancing their app in some way to make it better, apparently. So I don't know where that info got lost. That info is probably somewhere out there, but I'd really like to fucking see it. I'd like to see these talents earning $2,000 in a month. 400 applicants right after the debut. Yeah, 400 applicants. They saw an opportunity because you guys know how like all of these smaller indies, these one views or these people that are pre-debut, how badly they gravitate towards all of these agencies. So yeah, 400 wouldn't even be big at that fucking point. These indies, they gravitate again towards these smaller agencies like Flight to shit. Even after all the drama, we still had 400 people. Oh, shut up. People talked about you maybe for like a week and then it all subsided because, as I was saying, absolutely nobody gave a damn after a point. 400 people who resonated with our concept and want to join. This confirmed our initial hunch about growing long-tail market, new platforms, and an appetite for a new kind of agency. How can you say that after one shred of evidence that you cannot even back up properly? Did you have some sort of survey why they actually decided to apply to you before they applied? Do you know this, or is this just by a hunch? Sounds like wishful thinking that that's what it happened. Why the agency couldn't continue? Although our debut fest was a major success, things started unraveling quickly about 3 months later. Wow. Surprise, surprise. The lure of other platforms. Again, in Japan, VTuber and mobile streamer are distinct concepts, so you don't have to explain the difference. VTubers are mostly interpreted as virtual influencers that stream on YouTube. Wow! Virtual YouTuber! I wonder where it gets the fucking name from. V-mobile streamers are mostly focusing on smartphone-based streaming apps such as Reality, Iridium, TikTok, Live, etc. Well, you know, Harry, maybe if you introduce that concept to people before you introduce them as virtual YouTubers, maybe people would understand it that better. And maybe they would know what to fucking expect from you, but nah. You're only gonna do that after all shit is fucking dead and buried. But in North America, the line doesn't even exist. Everyone pretty much wants to be a VTuber, and nobody specifically aims only for mobile streaming because it's garbage. And a lot of people cannot keep people entertained just by having a model on screen and just talking. There's not that many people that can do that. Do you know how many streams I've seen from VTubers where VTuber is just completely fucking silent? So fucking many. I just randomly sometimes go to Twitch, go to a small like Twitch virtual YouTuber there, and they're completely silent, fucking playing a game. No chat interaction, no fucking nothing. So what's the point at that stage? You just have a fucking pretty model on, and you're not gonna fucking do anything with it. And there's so many of them, chat. Like you wouldn't fucking believe. All of these people want to be streamers. Why not stream on YouTube? When talents interacted with other VTubers on X, Twitter, they'd be invited to collaborate on YouTube, but early on we had exclusive conditions with our partner platform that restricted multi-platform streaming. That's Anive. Because that was the strategy where talents and company could get benefits from, such as monetary bonus from the partnered platform. So our talents had to say, sorry, the agency won't let me stream on the other platforms, which is garbage. People's reaction was, that sucks. And the negativity spread among creators. Yes, that's the whole fucking point. And when you loosened the restrictions in response, talents understandably migrated to the more fun option. As a result, our main platform strategy started to crumble. Wow, who could have predicted that? Please don't get me wrong, this is not to blame talents at all. It's a failure of management to build the balanced guidelines and operations. No, your concept was flawed from the start. You should have evaluated the concept first. It's not about implementing it, it's not about managing something, it's not about building it. You failed at the fucking conceptual stage. The challenge of promoting commitment. Contracts that don't force streaming hours. When you run a global agency, there are many legal and contractual constraints. If you try to impose streaming hours as they're coming to start to encroach on employee status under US local labor laws. That sounds a little bit like bullshit, because there are companies that do actually, you know, have to... You do actually have to work specific hours, and you do have to stream. And I do believe that there are VTuber agencies like that in the West that do have those fucking requirements, so... I think he's ignorant when saying that. That doesn't seem like something that's correct. Which places a huge burden on the company, so our contracts had to be relaxed in that sense, making it impossible to enforce something as crucial as streaming hours. Again, it sounds like bullshit to me, because there are enforced streaming hours in companies like that. Arguably the most important element for the business. Looking back, I think we could have found ways around this. Like what? Forcing them? Like not mandating streaming hours explicitly, but using direct methods. In example, if you don't meet streaming minimum for no explicit reason, we part ways. Hold up. Let me read this again. Like not mandating streaming hours explicitly, but using indirect methods. In example, if you don't meet streaming minimum for no explicit reasons, we part ways. That's a threat. That's a threat of being fired. What the fuck do you mean indirect methods? That's the outright saying fucking, if you don't stream, you're gone. Are you stupid or something? Do you have no filter? To get business going. A difference in attitude towards mental health. There's a big cultural difference between Japan and the West regarding mental health. Or you mean it's important in the West? You can't pull a fucking any color on your prospective Selentatsuki? Is that what you're talking about here? It's difficult to convey this in writing without misunderstanding, so maybe don't talk about it at all, dumbass. From a management standpoint, the typical Japanese approach of pushing and encouraging talent to work through tough times can be very problematic in Western context. Yes, because entertainers do not entertain very well when they're forced to do shit. When they're forced to do things against their fucking will, and they're not harassed by the company. When you're fucking when you just attempted suicide, and the fucking company visits you at the hospital, demanding shit from you. Yeah, yes, people are gonna frown on that. God damn. Japanese or even Asian management cultural emphasizes persistence and endurance, while Western approaches often prioritize individual mental well-being. Yes, because a happy fucking entertainer is a good entertainer. Unless, you know, unless you're a face connect talent, then it means when you're sad, you're probably more entertaining. But that's like a different kind of streamer. Usually when the streamer is happy, they do funny, entertaining content, and the viewers are happy as well. They don't want their streamers to be suicidal or cry on stream all the time. As entertaining as that is for some people. I know people like that. It's not always... even a new creator knows that in the early days you won't get many viewers. It's not always fun. But pushing them just a bit harder so they can break through was extremely difficult from a communication standpoint. Yes, because you're telling them to stream on a platform that is already extremely niche, in a niche VTuber agency that you don't even call an agency yet, without much support in the fucking first place. So, of course they're gonna be fucking upset, and they don't want to do shit. There's no incentive to do shit. Are these people fucking stupid or something? Don't answer that question, it's rhetorical. Some talents did keep streaming consistently without any push, but for the level of success we needed, it was tough to get a high enough percentage of them to do so. For those who don't know, the streaming hours and consistency are the two biggest key factors to drive revenues and a bonus in mobile streaming apps. And yeah, do you know how difficult it was for these fucking people to just sit there and talk and just be be able to talk to people for fucking hours on end without being able to do anything else. Restrictive in all kinds of ways, that approach was. I guess ex-Nexus talent can sense it all at the bonus structures we designed purely based on 2 metrics on the partnered platform. Rising staff costs. Around the same time, Colors Niji-Sanji got embroiled in a massive controversy. In short, it was the clash of Japanese management styles and Western talents. Top talents started leaving, and Asia-based staff tried to manage North American talents, and the gap between the company and creators grew bigger and bigger. Oh, maybe you could, use better words for that and say that a Japanese fucking company harassed a talent almost to fucking suicide. Maybe use those words and not frame it as how did he say this? Clash of Japanese management styles and Western talents. Sure is a fucking clash. And not just pieces of shit abusing a singular fucking person and more. Fuck you, my guy. Eventually, the departing talent ignored NDA restrictions and leaked internal details, forcing CEO Tazumi to post an apology video. Maybe you could go into fucking details what exactly happened there, Harry. And, not fucking trying to sweep for any color. Maybe that would fucking help. Because, when people see this, oh, you're gonna get fucking butt-fucked on social media. When they see this one paragraph alone, oh, they're gonna fuck you up. They're not gonna leave you dry, Harry, for saying shit like that. After what happened to fucking Selen. You made a mistake, buddy. You made a huge fucking mistake. A real lawyer streaming a public review of Niji-Sanji's leaked contract, a nightmare for any kind of business owners. Think of the poor fucking millionaire owners. Oh no. What a fucking tragedy for them after all the shit that happened. Whoa. Boo fucking who, nigga. Talent saw all this happening. To avoid a similar fate, we felt pressured to hire staff. Like, read this shit. To avoid a similar fate, we felt pressured to hire staff living in the same time zones as our talents, which of course meant higher labor costs. Oh, we need to do something, otherwise what fucking any color did is gonna reflect badly on us. Now we have to support the talents. Now we have to give them management. What a fucking weasel. Because we were trying to recruit talents at a rapid pace, we also needed more managers. Our cash flow was draining quickly. Wow. How could that fucking happen? In hindsight, we should have slowed down. We got carried away with an unrealistic pace of growth in the talent acquisition and team expansion, which I deeply regret. It's not... None of this shit is about the fucking talents. It's all about you and how you present yourself and how the fucking industry sector looks to people. You care more about the fucking companies than you do your fucking talents. You care about fucking Tazumi fucking more than anything. Fuck this guy with the rake. Seriously. The partner platform rapid decline. End of the money splash period. At first the platform was showering creators bonus campaigns, which let our top talents earn a lot, but as soon as that ended, we suddenly weren't making nearly as much. This was similar to what happened with Pococha, and 17 Live withdrew from the US. The local tipping culture in North America is different and weaker. Oh, fuck off with that as well. America is based on fucking tipping culture, you Neanderthal. It's just that they aren't incentivized to give them donos when they don't get much for those fucking donos, and they don't even know how to get on your platform in the first fucking place. Do you expect these people to have whales fucking forever? And that money doesn't, you know, do anything for the talents because they can't even do anything with that money to improve their streaming unless they go to Twitch on YouTube. Tipping culture in North America is weaker. Biggest fucking lie. Also, people care about what percentage of their tip actually goes to the streamer. It was hard to justify the same high-level tipping approach used in Asia. Gradually we realized the talents couldn't earn as much as we had hoped. No, it's just about the thing, how you structured things. That was the fucking problem. And the fact that, you know, you still actually needed to buy fucking tokens on that fucking app in order to do donos on Anive. You couldn't donate directly to my knowledge. You needed that fucking currency. I think it was gold coins or something on Anive. AI controversies. Boycott. The EN VTuber community is particularly extremely critical of AI. It's not just the community, it's the industry fucking at large. There's so many talents out there. Mention of AI creations, AI art is gonna be very frowned upon. Many believe AI art steals illustrators' jobs, so anyone using AI art was an enemy. Our partner platform was actively developing AI-based features for streamers, and that to expand the creator base, which set off a huge backlash. We'll get into that when I get into the Anive part of the stream. You'll see what kind of fucking shenanigans they went up to with that one. Talents not wanting to be labeled as the people who support AI left the platform. They didn't want to get caught in the crossfire and simply declared, "I'm not streaming here anymore." Sure, streaming on YouTube, on Twitch didn't necessarily mean they'd make more money immediately at all, but they had a higher chance to. By the way, in terms of time and efficiency, streaming on partner platform is still more profitable for both talent and company. However, at that point, I felt like things gradually spiraled out of control. This is how our original strategy and business model fell apart. A negative spiral in the community. Our Discord server was initially meant to be a place for everyone to grow together and compete positively, but it gradually turned into a hotbed of complaints. Wow! Again, how could have that happened? In voice chats, a few members would vent about our management and the platform. They criticize our decisions to keep recruiting new talents rapidly, as well as how we manage talents. I wanted to shut down the community faction altogether. Shut it the fuck down. There's too many complaints. Don't address complaints. Just shut it all down like a fucking coward that you are. The fact that he's admitting to this is both brave and extremely fucking stupid. If he thinks that he will get back into VTubing in any sort of capacity without people coming back to him with this and shoving it into his face, he has another fucking thing coming. Especially when he says shit like that. But staff argued that removing it would kill our agency's core value. Meanwhile, negativity in the community led some members to take breaks from streaming. Rather than inspiring each other, the community had become a place that discouraged people from trying. Absolutely the worst scenario. I completely failed to design the community the way that I originally intended. It would have been fucking fine if your agency, that wasn't an agency, was actually structured properly in the first place, that if you actually had a proper idea how to get into Western VTubing. But nah, you had to do things your own fucking way. Fundamental reforms, operations, contracts, etc. We could double down on the original strategy, risk losing money talents, but introduce stronger contractual obligations. Shut them down with the fucking contracts. Change our main platform. We could pivot to YouTube or Twitch, which talents actually wanted. But after speaking with other small and mid-sized NA agency owners, I realized no one was doing well financially. Yes, fuck these talents. Let's talk to some random agencies that fucking died Let's not give our talents opportunities because other people say it's a bad idea. When your fucking platform is dead. This guy is a shitter. I have no other way to describe him. He's just an incompetent shitter. The only agencies surviving after starting around 2023 or later were either well-funded, big corpo, or had other businesses that could subside the investment needed to scale. We, as a startup company, didn't have any other business project that could have produced profit to invest back to NEXAS project. Continuing the current operations means starting the countdown to the bankrupt, which I really needed to avoid. Because it would look extremely badly if I bankrupted the company on investor money. People wouldn't want to talk to me again. And I hope they don't after they saw this shit. But I know how fucking these tech bros operate. They don't need competent people. They just need people with ideas. And then they need dummies in form of investors that get convinced with pretty fucking words. And these people, both the people that organize specific projects and the investors, are usually have more money than they have common sense or brains. And it's an endless cycle of wasting money until something works. And usually it doesn't fucking work, by the way. Ultimately, I had to admit that our initial hypotheses were off, and I had to accept that it would be very hard to pull off a miraculous comeback in the same direction. Hindsight 2020. Pivot and the future of Nexus. We decided it was no longer sustainable to operate as a V mobile live stream agency and shifted towards closing the agency function. Rethinking the talent agency model. Scouting established talents is more rational. In many talent industries, music, in real life influencers, etc., it become standard to scout support individuals who already have some traction or are beginning to grow, rather than grooming. I like that she used that fucking word. I do like that she used that word. Grooming total newbies from scratch. In the VTuber world, it's still common to produce talents from scratch. Largely because companies want to create new character IPs, but look at VShoujo, a well-known name in the West and Japan. I'd very much argue about VShoujo being well-known in Japan. I'd really fucking argue that. Sincerely, I will very much sincerely argue VShoujo being very well known in Japan. They don't own the IP, they just act as an agency for sponsorships, merch, etc. Brave groups. Before Mira is also bringing in already active indie talents. They call it adoption. Even Hololive's new Flow Glow features people with backgrounds in AKB groups or established YouTubers. The tide is changing. Yeah. You're just gonna rely on popular things to get your business going, but then you're just becoming a talent management agency. Nothing more, nothing less. Streamer agencies depend entirely on platforms. Instead of splitting revenue with each talent, you might explore a B2B model where the platform pays you a management for fee or bonuses, which Nexus was mostly based on, which didn't take any cut from all the revenues talents made on partnered platforms, but you still be very dependent on the platform. If streaming on the platform isn't monetizable for talents as other mainstream platforms, or if the bonus structure for agencies is weak, you can't sustain the business, especially in the live streaming apps. There's a massive difference in how much a streamer can earn depending on the platform. I've seen cases where talent moved from one platform to 17 Live and tripled their revenue, then doubled it again on TikTok Live without changing contents much. We Nexus couldn't utilize those dynamics effectively, yes, because it doesn't work for the model that you used in the place that you want to implement it in. This is not fucking Japan. This is Burgerland, god damn it. Mostly Burgerland. The feature-focused agencies could be the future. Instead of full spectrum management focusing on specific functions like sponsorship sales, merch, content production, or mental health support. Yeah, fuck that mental health support, right? And generating revenue without taking a cut directly from the talent might be the sustainable path. That does deviate from the traditional approach of a VTuber agency creating new IP from scratch, but you can have agency that specializes in expanding or monetizing IP, essentially leeches that are already dependent on someone being successful. I guess Mythic is one of these places. They're just managing talents, banking on someone being popular, and then I don't know what management features Mythic has for their talents on there, but people join them for some reason or one or another, so it can't be all that bad, I guess. But they're still banking on people being popular for them to operate as a business. Ending Nexus's role as a talent agency. Officially closing on January 31st. Yes, already goodbye. 2025. For talents who want to keep their avatars, we gave options to keep the rights so they could continue independently. That's probably the only good thing they retain out of fucking Nexus. That they got a VTuber model for free. Hopefully for free. A lot of people work hard in so many ways, and I regret not being able to nurture each person or make our vision of growing both individual talents and agency reality. I should have applied to Nexus and stolen one of their models. Chat, why didn't you fucking apply to Nexus and steal their fucking models? Should have fucking applied. Free models for everyone. We ended up causing a lot of confusion with our sudden closure, and I feel incredibly sorry. Again, not that many people gave a shit. I generally hope they keep working toward their dreams at their own pace. The week I had to discuss the closure and contract terminations with the teammates who had supported me since the early days was simply one of the most humiliating and painful memories of my life. Boo-hoo, nigga. Boo fucking hoo, you and your fucking pain. You wasted so many people's fucking precious time. The only good thing you did for a lot of them is giving them those fucking VTuber models. And I won't pretend that some of these Nexus talents aren't grateful to Nexus. I've seen a lot of them being very grateful to Nexus. But I do imagine there's, in equal measure, people that, you know, weren't very happy. Even the guy himself described them being criticized all the fucking time in their fucking Discord. Response to the closure announcement. In early December 2024, we announced the closure. Some people said, I knew it wouldn't last. But many asked, why shut down? They asked why shut down because they didn't know who the fuck you were. And expressed disappointment. I'm grateful that we managed to gain supporters in such a short time. Thank you so much for believing in us. Sure, believing. If that's what you want to call it. Rebranding Nexus. The overseas VTuber industry continues to grow. During Nexus operations, we built a valuable network with agencies and indie talents in North America and Southeast Asia. Still believe in the potential of this global VTuber market, even if the approach of running an agency wasn't the right fit. While people in Japan might not know much on the Twitch, one of the top channels with the highest numbers of active subscribers is Iron Us from VShoujo. Another example, Filian's video, including clip compilations, get over 100 million views a month. The top talents are quickly moving into the cultural mainstream. Filian is never going to be mainstream. And I don't think Iron Mouse, as much as they shown her around, I don't think Iron Mouse is ever going to be mainstream as well. When Iron Mouse ever hits mainstream popularity on Twitter, you see how a lot of people treat her. They treat Iron Mouse like garbage whenever Iron Mouse gets on fucking gets mainstream attention. And here come the comments with, "Oh, it's a fat guy with a fucking voice changer." And what do these fucking underage cartoons are doing on my fucking Twitch awards and shit like that? It's always fucking a heckling contest whenever a VTuber reaches mainstream in any sort of fucking fashion. In the West, that's never gonna happen because Westerners are retarded and they're never gonna accept fucking cartoon characters in that fashion. Not the fucking mainstream. It's not gonna happen. And you can point out Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku is still fucking niche. As popular as she is, she's still fucking niche. And people still will see Hatsune Miku and go, "What the fuck is this underage fucking cartoon character doing here? Are you a pedophile or something?" That's the mainstream reaction you're gonna get. A global VTuber agency model. Building on the network and brand we have, I want to become the first company brands call when they want to do a cross-border project involving VTuber and anime-style influence around the world. That's my vision for now. Are you stupid? I think only ignorant people such as you are gonna give you the time of the day after the failure that is Nexus and what you fucking said in this blog post. Who want to do a business with an incompetent, cowardly buffoon like you? Other than other cowardly, incompetent buffoons. But that's the world of fucking business. It's dumb people with too much money doing shit. Shitty shit. Back to drawing board while still exploring. That said, I'm not certain that doing this alone is our end goal. Growth is the sector and is slower than expected, so just being a marketing/advertising agency might be tough. But you have to find something to survive as a business company. Although I know the startup mantra is always focus, I'd likely be experimenting across a range of opportunities to see where we can invest our resources next. What our company wants to do? Our company's goal remains the same: to support creators and generate new culture worldwide. Yeah, you really fucking supported creators with your Nexus shit. Especially with how you described what you did with them. That's some real fucking support right there. That means helping creators bridge Japan and overseas markets and vice versa. Sometimes we'll help export Japanese creators' content or culture abroad. Other times we'll be bringing overseas creators' content or culture to Japan. Yeah, you tried that and that didn't work out at all. Right now, 2 small lines of business are generating some revenue. Creator support for Roblox business. Yeah, guy. Go fucking exploit some children. Maybe introduce some gambling mechanics to the Roblox fucking custom games. That's gonna fucking work out well for you because, you know, if you couldn't take advantage of hopeful people that wanted to become VTubers, then why not fucking take advantage of fucking kids? That always fucking works out, right? Get into fucking Roblox, motherfucker. Roblox business. I met a 21-year-old talented entrepreneur in Malaysia, and we're co-developing Roblox solutions for IP holders. The numbers of examples in Japan is slowly increasing, and I believe Roblox is currently the quickest route to accessing a global audience for IP holders. Over 380 million monthly users. A Gen Z alpha spent an average of 3 hours a day on it. Let's explore these fucking kids. Let's exploit them to the nth degree. It's already spawning new games and IPs. My partner company has been heavily involved in Roblox projects for twice in Blackpink, successfully building fan communities there. Now major IPs like One Piece and Attack on Titan have also started venturing into Roblox, indicating this quite different from the short-lived metaverse marketing. Remember for a few years ago. Leveraging that partner's operational knowledge and development resources and combining them with our ability to bring in an audience from outside the platform, we are co-creating solutions for global brand IPs If you have a slight interest, I love to talk. You know how much verbal that I fucking verbal sewage that this is? We are co-creating solutions for global brand IPs. Means fucking nothing. This is a sentence that means fucking nothing. Solutions. What solutions? What are you solving? What problems arise that get solved, and what do you do to you know, elevate people's fucking concerns? Solutions for what? How to sell shit to kids? I fucking... It's fucking funny how he advertises himself at the end, too. I'd love to talk after all of this shit. Conclusion. Moving forward after failure. Our one-year attempt at running an English V-mobile livestream agency ultimately ended in failure. During that year, I kept running into walls, painfully aware of my own shortcomings. Yes. Yes, I know what a poor person you are. I know how badly you're taking it. Stop it already. As I tried to shape the business, I was mentally tough at times, but I also learned an enormous amount. This guy is a fucking narcissist. Narcissistic prick. I've read this far, thank you so... If you read this far, thank you so much. If you want to do any anime or VTuber related promotions abroad, if you want to leverage IP in Roblox, if you're curious about cross-border and creative ventures connecting Japan and the world, if you're simply interested in for creators itself, please feel free to get in touch for any reason. I'm still lacking in many ways, but I'll keep moving and searching for the next big opportunity. I'm gonna write him a very strongly worded email and end it with sincerely VTuber cringe. Yes, you're an F-slur. Because that's how I feel about this guy. Thank you so much for reading up to this point, and to everyone who supported or was involved with us. Thank you for the bottom of my heart. Fuck this guy. To the talents reading this, I truly apologize for dragging you for so many changes. Seeing everyone create content day after day while dealing with their own struggles gave me enormous strength. Yes, that's why you want to shut their shit down or force stricter contracts on them. That's how you fucking valued these guys. I sincerely hope you'll continue pursuing your dreams at your own pace. Finally, this article is not meant to blame anyone, other than the drama tubers, at all. This is just a self-reflection to acknowledge my failure in the company management and my failure to build a better operational system that could have sustained the business in the I originally envisioned. However, it's still something I can learn from my own next ventures. Thank you again. I look forward to staying in touch in the future. Now, fuck off and don't come back. And that's Nexus for you. But Nexus is just one part of this coin. There's another side to it. Anive, and we'll get to that after I explain what's going on with Nexus now. Well, Nexus is rebranding itself as an not really an agency, but something that is supposed to bring VTubers together and help them network. And I'll show you in a moment what the shit is. And it already has its own very small controversy, which is funny. Because they're still using IPs that they had for Nexus. The IPs that their talents now use as independent creators. That's the funniest part of it. So let me get that up real fucking quick. And then we can get to the next part. So this is what Nexus is gonna be now. As you can see here in advertising, they're using VTuber models of VTubers that are already indies. Their models are their own. NEXAS connecting creators with opportunities. NEXAS Creative Hub is the next generation creative studio and VTuber marketing agency dedicated to empowering creators and brands, from illustration and character design to brand campaigns and influencer marketing. We connect anime culture influencers, VTubers, and digital creators with opportunity worldwide. And they still have that fucking name that's synonymous with the fucking ultimate failure, so I don't know how they want to get past that. And here they advertise themselves on Twitter. Again, using the models of their previous VTubers as their own still. New website. Here's their mission statement. And then people, Flork of all fucking things, decided to talk about this. I urge you to please reconsider using former talents' IPs in the advertising and design of this. You just have released these IPs to the talents. Let them actually own their IPs now. They have the licensing rights to do this. They have set consent from former Nexus talents to be used this way. And they did actually clarify. Hi Flork, yes, everything is clearly shared and agreed on in the termination agreement to transfer the IP rights to talents. Company retain a license to use the avatar strictly for purposes of company's marketing and explaining business records. This will be done in a way that does not interfere with or hinder the talent's ongoing activities and branding. But still, should it happen that any of these indies grow bigger, then you're gonna be leeching of them. So it's still fucking shitty. Despite, you know, it all being legal and within the contract, as you say, it's still a shitty thing to fucking do. So yeah, this shit just fucking continues. And here's Expert Armchair talking about this as well. He's also gonna have a stream about the same thing I'm having right now. I believe tomorrow, so do go watch him for his insights on this as well. He's gonna have his own perspectives on this, I'm sure. And here's one person, another VTuber contacting a former Nexus talent about Harry's blog post. At Reverie Calypso, you did? Yo, did you just get used? Apparently so. Dude, okay, Harry being a douche was not on my 2025 bingo card list. I did not expect this is for sure. I saw Legal Mindset review this document when I heard Harry supported Niji Sanji after the whole document incident. I thought, damn, he's a terrible guy. And yeah, and I do hope the word about Harry and what he said in that fucking document spreads far and wide, and I hope that he never touches VTubing again. But again, I still have one more thing to show you, and that is what the fuck happened in Anive and its own fucking controversy, because you keep hearing about AI this, AI that, and what exactly fucking happened within Anive, the other side of fucking Nexus, as I would call it. And I will let a certain VTuber called Carmonism, I do believe that's her name, talk about this in a video form. The video is long, which is a good thing because it will let me rest my voice. And I will have a refresher on it too, despite me having watched it like at least 2 times so far. This is a video, I believe, from November, so just let me get it up. And it's called I Quit Anive so I could share my story. Favoritism, false promises, AI allegations, and more. That's what the video is called. Let me get the music silenced for a bit, and then you can watch.
This is probably the most important video I've ever made. Not only does it discuss the allegations currently against Anive, but it talks about my own mistreatment within the company as well as the mistreatment of others. Even if you don't care about drama, you don't know what Anive is, I ask that you please watch this video, please share it, anything. What this company has been doing is awful and it really needs to be addressed. Now, there are some people out there who are faking being part of the Anive program and spreading misinformation, as well as a bunch of other stuff that we will cover in this video. I have all the receipts from my experience, but make sure to take anyone else's information with a grain of salt. There's a lot of lies being spread around. I'm going to start off by covering what the allegations against the company currently are, and then we'll move on into my personal experience, and at the very end of the video, I will be reading off some statements that some of my other fellow talents have given me to read anonymously for you all. I've been working on this video for 3 days straight, and I have poured over 20 hours of work into it. It would mean a lot if you would watch till the end of the video, or if you're unable to do that, just leave it in a tab in the background. I really want my voice to be heard, as well as the other talents that have been hurt by this company. I'm doing my best to make this a straightforward process, but please bear with me if we jump from point to point at times. Due to a contract that I've agreed to sign, I'll only be sharing knowledge on my own personal experiences, as well as information they've already made available to the public. If you aren't already familiar with it, Anive is a new VTuber app that is currently in open alpha for both iOS and Android. It is owned by a parent company named Netherball, which we will be discussing more later in the video. Currently, the app is onboarding talent through an application process, meaning that only those that are approved directly by the company can stream on the platform, and it is not open to the public. Around 5 months ago, Anive was already in some major heat for requiring all streamers on their platform to provide their model files to the company in order to stream. A lot of people were really hesitant to give up all of their model files as they're very expensive and very important, and I don't blame them. Even Iron Mouse, one of the biggest VTubers, expressed her concerns on this matter. You can find multiple videos on YouTube where she talks about Anive several months ago. Cut to the end of October 2024, and there are now even more AI allegations. This is the storm we are currently dealing with. This time though, the accusations are directed towards Anive's second wave of talents, known as Jumpstart Volume 2. I was actually a part of this program, which is why I'm deciding to speak up about this. I'm not allowed to reveal who I was within the program, nor do I plan to as per my contract. Though I have my current identity as Karma to fall back on, many of the other talents are significantly less fortunate and are kind of stuck within the program. Please don't send any negativity to the talents, nor should you spam questions in DMs, anything of that sort. Let them breathe, because I promise everyone is freaking out right now. I would know. First off, I'd like to provide a little bit of context to the situation for anyone that might be new here. Now, Anive is something called the Jumpstart program, which is intended to help people become VTubers on their platform. Not only does this program provide a free model for all chosen applicants, but it also agrees to pay each new talent a minimum of $300 a month for their first 3 months streaming on the platform. This offer can look super appealing to people wanting cheap entry to the VTubing industry, especially considering the company says you can have full rights to your model after a certain amount of time streaming through their platform. In fact, this offer is so enticing that even I, as a seasoned indie VTuber, decided to apply. It's important to note that Anive is currently on Volume 2 or Wave 2 of their Jumpstart program. Volume 1 began debut over this summer, and the talents are already rather established within the platform. When looking at these models, you'll notice they are in fact Live 2D. Live 2D models can cost anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 and sometimes much more. With the amount of talents in Volume 1, as well as the $300 a month they're offering, it's safe to assume a lot of money was spent on the project. Now that Volume 2 is in progress and talents have begun to debut from it, it's glaringly obvious there are a lot of differences in quality. The current models being debuted are much stiffer, and the rigging looks unnatural at times. Some models may look a little worse than others.
This is barely animated. Queen Bee level animation.
Now that I've established a little bit of context, I'd like you to keep these things in mind as I switch topics to
I'm sure Azahar fucking knows what I'm talking about.
Talk about my own personal experience within the hiring process and the company. After seeing many ads for Anive, especially on TikTok, I thought it might be fun to try. I already have an established persona here as Karma, and the concept of an app just for VTubers piqued my interest. Despite this, I realized the app only supported Live 2D, which I am obviously not. Rather than pass on the opportunity, I thought it might be fun to challenge myself by having a secret alter ego. Now, there are 2 ways to apply to the Anive platform. There is the one where you have a model and where you don't have a model. Because I didn't have one, I applied through the new streamer application, which can still be found on Anive's website. The form was super short, and when I woke up in the morning, I'd already received an email saying staff would like to hold an interview with me. I was super excited, as I hadn't expected to be reached out to so fast. In hindsight, I probably should have noticed that this was a red flag, but we're gonna get to that. I was told interviews were going to be on a rolling basis, so the sooner I interviewed with them, the more likely I was to be accepted into the program. Taking this to heart, I looked at the Google Calendar invites I had received, and I scheduled an interview for later that same night. I scheduled my interview through Google Calendar around 10:30 in the morning. My interview was set to be that night at 11 p.m., so I had about 12 hours until. Once my time was set, I was asked to add a particular staff member on Discord in order to prepare for the interview later that night. When I went to add them, Discord said the username did not exist. Obviously, errors happen and typos exist, so I sent an email letting staff know that I could not add the person necessary. I really didn't want to miss my interview just due to a typo. 4 hours later, I had not received an email back. This was super concerning to me, so I sent another email asking for the username to be double-checked. Companies get busy, and I understand that sometimes your inbox is not the most organized. Emails get lost. After sending that email back to the address that originally contacted me, I decided to look at my Google Calendar invite for the interview. From there, I found the email to the direct staff member I was supposed to be adding on Discord. I typed up a third email for the day and sent it to that staff member, letting them know I wasn't able to get in contact with them. Hours later, I had still not received a response from either address. In a panicked state, I realized that you can add notes to Google Meetings. Around 6 p.m. that evening, that's exactly what I decided to do. I went to the interview time in Google Calendar, and I added a note saying that I wasn't able to add the staff member on Discord. At this point, I had tried to contact them 4 different times in 3 different ways. Now, I planned to stream that night from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m., and I was terrified that I wouldn't get a response in time before my interview. While I was streaming, I obsessively kept checking my emails just to see if anything had changed. It wasn't until 10:30 that night that I received an email saying, I sent a friend request. There was no name, no signature, simply the one sentence. Nearly 12 hours after I sent my first email. Again, in hindsight, this lack of communication should have been a huge red flag. I was asked a few questions about myself and I went on about my day. Because it was a weekend, I couldn't receive my approval until the following Monday, which I did. I was super ecstatic and I wanted to get through the process as fast as possible to make movements towards debut. And this is where things started to go more downhill. From here, I'm not allowed to share specifics of certain information I received, as all new talents are prompted to digitally sign a terms of service contract before moving further. I'd like to make a note that this was the most loose contract I have ever seen. Even the fact that it was in a Google Forms felt a little unprofessional. I was informed that I was going to be part of Jumpstart Volume 2, which I had not even heard of until this point. When I was being told about the program, I was told I would be testing out a
Yeah, I think Google Forms contracts are legally binding.
new feature for the application. Now that Anive has made a public statement, I'm allowed to say it was this new rigging technology that they've mentioned. The way this technology was explained to me was that I would be somewhere between Live 2D and a PNG tuber. I didn't really want to be a PNG tuber, but because of the reassurance I was given, I was led to believe the final product would look significantly better than anything I had seen before. I was given the reassurance of when my eyes move, they move. When my mouth opens and closes, it opens and closes. Seemed good enough. I left the conversation feeling a little bit uneasy, but I decided, you know, I've already accepted the contract, might as well keep going. This new technology was pitched to me
Like a paper cutout with additions, unfortunately. Not that attractive, kind of looks silly.
to say that it would help lower the entry barrier into VTubing, as it can often be a very expensive hobby. As someone who's already a VTuber, I know the costs add up, so it seems good enough to me. I'd love to be a part of developing a technology that helps people get into the hobby. After I agreed to all the terms, I was also told that I would be given a pre-made model. I had already been under the assumption I would be given a pre-made model, so this was no surprise to me. I was told to fill out a short Google Forms document in order to help them pick out one of the options that I might like. I'll be honest, I didn't really love any of the 3 options I was shown. Despite this, I felt a little bit pressured into just picking one anyways. Staff made it extremely clear to me that they wanted to make no alterations. They would only make changes if it was absolutely necessary, and even then it would only be small adjustments such as adding animal ears or changing small color palettes. I know there's a lot of other talents that were unhappy with their models, but felt pressured to choose just like me. As it stands, I know of 2 talents in particular who did request changes though. One requested to add horns, and the other asked to change the color palette. Staff wasn't super quick to correct these things, so both talents actually ended up requesting permission to edit the model themselves. This further solidified the fact that staff wanted all models to be taken at face value with 0 adjustments. It felt mildly dismissive, but I pushed forwards anyways. Also, I'd like to note that all of these quote-unquote models shown to me were just static PNGs, with 0 animation. Once I picked out my model, aka image, I was given a Google Drive link where I was instructed to watch 3 different videos. The total watch time added up to about 30 minutes and explained a little bit more about Anive, what the platform is, and how it works. I'm not permitted to show them to you all, nor am I allowed to discuss any of the contents in detail. It was within these videos I got the first look at the type of technology that would be used for my model. I was instructed that all models are made by human artists, and that I cannot discuss the technology until it's released publicly. As I record this November 2nd, Anive has officially made a statement regarding the technology, and though they do not publicly say the name, which I was told, they do let the public know that it exists. Basically, everything in the public statement that Anive made was something that us creators were told as we were onboarded. None of this information was new to us, nor did it resolve the issues we were having. I feel like the video I was shown was a bit deceptive, as the tracking was very smooth. It didn't seem to have any of the same glitches or deformation that can be seen in some of the already debuted models. At this point, I fully knew what I had signed up for, and I felt a little bit underwhelmed. I'd already chosen a model, started socials, signed a contract, and even worked on branding though, so I didn't really want to quit, and that was a lot of work down the drain. I decided I would give it a chance and accept things for what they were. I told myself that if I didn't like it, I would stream until I got my money, and then I would leave. Things took a turn for worse when I actually saw my model in-app. There were so many issues. Now let me remind you, my model was not a model at all, but simply a static PNG. Now I have nothing against PNG tubers, but whenever I uploaded my PNG and the app animated it for me, everything became deformed.
Let's take a look at this. Behold. Missing eyebrows. That is the very least of a problem with this particular one. It looks like an anime character that got hit on the head with something. Looks positively retarded.
The eyes were smeared, especially when half closed. Everything just looked wrong. Even when the eyes were open and in my default pose, they didn't match up with my normal art. On top of this, part of my model was completely cropped off, leaving just a flat, blunt line. This felt entirely unacceptable, so I took a bunch of screenshots and I sent them to staff. I'd like to take a moment to just put these 2 pictures side by side for you. I feel like it's very easy to see all of the differences. The line art disappears, the colors become muddled and smushed. Everything looks completely wrong once animated, but the normal art looks human. Staff assured me the technology is still in its early stages and they would work to fix any of the issues that I was having. Obviously, this never happened for myself, nor anyone else.
It's great to have a first impression looking like that as a VTuber. It really shows the confidence you can have in a particular company and a streaming app that's promoting this VTuber Jumpstart program.
And this is the whole reason you're watching this video. Now, most of the AI allegations are currently based on the fact that each model has deformation around the eyes and the mouth. Several screenshots have been circulating with talents having their eyes half closed, etc. Now, there is a Japanese smartphone application called Irium which has a very similar technology being used to what I believe is being used here. It's been going on for a long time over in Japan, and now it's finally making its way over to America. Having said all this, I do think that whatever technology Anive has developed is significantly further behind than the things we're seeing over in Irium in Japan. I think this is where a lot of the confusion is coming in for people. With Irium being much further along in the developmental process, the errors are a lot less noticeable. Honestly, I think Anive is developing a cool technology, but they released this.
My theory about that is that Anive had their own, like, let's not say steal, because that's too bad of an allegation here to make. But they probably saw what Irium and other platforms like that take on VTubers do, and they tried to emulate that sort of rigging. But since I can imagine Irium and other platforms have their proprietary technology behind that, you just can't use that without their express permission. So my theory here is that they tried to recreate it on their own, and they just did it extremely badly. That's what I think happened here.
To the public way before they were ready to. They figured they would just toss out a half-developed technology and everyone would be happy, but obviously they are not. I don't speak Japanese, and I'm not super familiar with Irium, but one of my other talents was the one that actually brought this application to my attention. Basically, you take a normal image, you upload it into the application, and it automatically animates it for you. Based on everything I was told, this is exactly what I had to do as part of the Jumpstart Volume 2 program. I uploaded my photo, and boom, it's magically animated. I think some kind of AI algorithm has been made in-house by Anive in order to create these fake facial expressions such as eyes closed, mouth open, whatever. That would explain a lot as to why after the image is uploaded into Anive, it starts to take on that deformed and AI look. For the third time, let me show you these two photos side by side. The one that looks obviously AI is only visible within the Anive app, whereas the normal art looks completely normal and made by a human. Again, I don't want to get into the ethics of AI art or, where they trained this, whatever. Now, artists in a studio are very likely overworked. If they receive a big order like what Anive gave them, it's very possible that there were several artists trying to complete the commissions simultaneously. This means one person might draw these 5 while another draws these 5. Obviously, different artists are going to have different art styles, so each model is going to look a little bit different. If people are trying to really push through these commissions, they're going to be rushed and they're going to make a lot of mistakes. Now, some of these have explanations for why they look like that, some of them don't. Okay, so this is Yuna here. Now, she is another talent that decided to graduate just like me. She's been a little bit more open about her identity than I will be, but that's her decision. Now, her art has a lot of issues which people have been pointing out in order to say that the art is in fact AI. While some of these are a little bit unexplainable, I think some of them can also be explained away as mistakes due to being rushed or just sloppy in general. Obviously, a random dot here and there could just be a...
Which is still bad, since it's a VTuber model. It's supposed to be very presentable and the details are supposed to be crisp and easily zoomed upon to see them in their full glory. So VTuber models should be very high resolution for the most part, and all of the details should be very easily discernible. So if they look like garbage, that's just garbled, that's still pretty bad. AI or not.
Simple mistake that didn't get erased. And maybe the fingers weren't actually misdrawn, they were just colored very poorly because the artist was in a rush. Same with the line weight and things like that. Obviously, some of these issues do look a little more unnatural though. I do recognize this is a very complex pattern on the dress. Maybe the artist just got lazy and was trying to fill things in thinking no one would notice. Again, with a really large commission, I guarantee they want to spend as little time between each character design as possible. Yuna's design is very complex compared to a lot of the others. If they tried to draw her model in the exact same time span as someone with a much simpler design, obviously they're going to be cutting some corners. That doesn't fully explain everything in the art though, so I'll kind of leave that as you will. I really don't think all the illustrations in Jumpstart Volume 2 are AI. I will say that, because looking at my model as well as the other models I was offered, I see no errors with them. And with a lot of the other models I looked at, I'm not seeing a lot of issues either. A lot of people have been asking for credits of the artists to be revealed, and I don't think that's going to happen. But what I can tell you is that all of the art was actually commissioned from an art studio. Is it possible that AI was being used within the studio without anyone knowing? I mean, maybe. But honestly, I think a lot of the mistakes are just from people that are overworked, very inexperienced artists, or maybe a combination of the two. I really don't have information, and neither does anyone else outside of Anive staff. They're the only ones that know the truth at this point. Having said that, there still are a lot of questions that I know a lot of us want answers to. Even if all of the mistakes within the art are made by human laziness and not AI, I still think it's important for Anive to address this publicly. It's super easy to just say, hey, we commissioned some people, they gave us some really crappy work, we're sorry, we'll do better. Like, it's that easy. On top of that, I did see a screenshot that was leaked earlier today on Twitter regarding the illustrators and how talents are supposed to to approach them. Within this message, staff told talents that they are not allowed to personally DM the artist of their model, even if they find out who they are. So not only are the talents not allowed to know their illustrator, but we're also being told directly by the company that we are not allowed to talk to them in private, even if we do somehow figure it out with some internet sleuthing. This is really strange. Now, I can understand saying, hey, please don't publicly share it, but the fact that we're not even allowed to talk to them, that smells a little fishy to me. Before I let my past self go back to talking, there's one more thing I want to address. There are two models in particular made by Anive that are actual knockoffs of anime characters. I cannot make this up. I'm just gonna throw these photos out here and you
Yeah, one looks like 02 at home. And the one on the right is, what was her face from Overlord? I forgot her name.
tell me who they make you think of. If you said 02 and Albedo, you'd be right. I've never even
Albedo.
watched either of these animes, and even I still got
02 at home.
the reference. Like, I understand all art uses something as a reference. Like, technically there's no such thing as originality. Everything's already been done. But like, come on. This is way too similar. I mean, 02's outfit is like relatively unique in my opinion. Sure, pink straight hair is normal, but like to have both, and then even Albedo, like you could have had a black-haired demon girl or something and not given her a white cutout dress. Even just changing the color of the dress from white would have done wonders for you, but no, you kept the exact color palette as well as design. I'm already at such a loss for words. Like, I don't even know what to say about this topic anymore. I might as well sprinkle in one more bit of information, and that is the fact that Another Ball, the parent company of Anive and Izumo, also had a LinkedIn job listing for a generative AI engineer. It's worth being said. Now, generative AI engineer doesn't necessarily mean that this person was working on art specifically. AI is used in so many things nowadays, such as algorithms, that it's not too uncommon for a job to have a listing for someone involving AI. The only reason it looks so suspicious is because the company has so many allegations stacked up against it, whether it's the art was made with AI, the character designs were generated with AI and then drawn, or whatever else. If you want to hear more about the AI engineer job listing, my video is not the place for that because I don't really have enough information to say anything one way or another. Also, tell me why Nexus, a VTubing agency that has been debuting talents on Anive, was quicker to respond to these allegations than Anive themselves.
Because again, they're attached at the fucking hip. They might as well be the same fucking thing.
On October 31st, they made an entire statement saying they don't support AI, they'd never use it in any step of their creation process for talents, etc. Why is it that a company that wasn't even receiving these allegations was faster?
But don't get me wrong, Anive has a different CEO. It's a separate company still, but they're still partners in quote-unquote crime. Not real crime, just alleged crime.
To respond than the company who was. And it wasn't even by like a short amount of time. Nexus released a statement on October 31st, and it took Anive all the way until today, the day I'm recording this, November 2nd to address it. Like, I understand needing to give your PR team some time to piece together an answer, but dang. Anyways, I am going to pass the mic back over to my past self, where I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personal experiences. There is so much more dirt besides the AI drama. So I hope you're ready, buckle up. For the rest of the video, I'd like to expand upon my own experiences within this whole nightmare, as well as some issues unrelated to AI that I have experienced within the company. Some of the other talents have asked to be a part of this video as well, and I'll be sharing their stories at the end. Please do not attempt to find out who they are within Anive, as some of them may decide to continue within the company. This could potentially lead to their reputations being damaged, and I do not want that for them. When I became a part of the Anive Jumpstart program, I instantly noticed that those of us in Volume 2 are being treated differently, and if I'm being honest, worse than Volume 1. While Volume 1 was given promotional posts on the official Anive Twitter, I was told Volume 2 would not. Instead, I was allowed to directly at the Twitter account and important posts, and then they would repost it. This would be fine if they actually...
I kinda call it the Niji-Sanji Ian effect. Every new Niji-Sanji Ian generation, with some exceptions, just down the drain in terms of popularity and support from the company.
did it. However, it took them 4 days just to repost a single tweet of mine. At that point, the information was old news and irrelevant. I felt so horrible about the situation, not just for myself, but the others. We all deserved better. At some point, one of the talents sent a link to a Nexus debut schedule within our Discord and said they wished Anive would do the same thing for us. Since it seemed none of us were being given attention, I took matters into my own hands. I'm decent at making graphics, so I decided I would make a schedule for us on my own. Even though it shouldn't be my job to do so, I wanted to give everyone a chance to feel special and important. I spent hours making a design template that looked somewhat official, and I made the schedule for Halloween week in a single night.
See, this is a problem with someone that's so enthusiastic, so eager to work, and seemingly competent in a lot of things, especially when it comes to organizing stuff. And they get hired by someone that cannot fully or at all utilize any of their abilities, and just abuses them and wastes their time and everyone else's time. I feel the most bad for people like her, because she clearly tried to do everything that she could in her power to make it work for herself and to make it work for others. But it's just wasted effort, and that's wholly unfortunate.
Everyone was so excited, and it got tons of reposts and impressions on Twitter. I was super happy my hard work was helping so many people. I sent a link to my post to staff, kindly asking them to retweet it since they hadn't done so in the past. You can
Similar, like, I know this is like a different degree, a different caliber, but similar to what Selon was trying to do within Nijisanji. She had all of these ideas, all of these, projects that she wanted to utilize and make work, incentivize her audience, make things better for everyone, not only for herself. And any color was just, nah, nope, go fuck yourself. Get harassed, go to hospital. And that's how it is with these fucking people.
see the message I sent them here. In the screenshot, you see where I mentioned the fact that myself and others feel like we're being swept under the rug compared to Volume 2. I didn't want to come off as aggressive because I was new to the program and assumed maybe they just didn't realize how upset it was making some of us feel. I assumed I'd get a thoughtful response, and maybe they would even promise to do better in the future, but spoiler
And for a petty thing like a fucking schedule, too.
alert, they never responded. Later that evening, I saw that staff retweeted my post, and even though they never responded to my concerns in DMs, I brushed it aside and told myself that was good enough. Myself and some other talents worked hard to gather debut information, and I went to work on the schedule for next week. As I did this, I realized some of the talents had overlapping debut times. Staff had told me that they were going to space us out, but that didn't really seem to be the case. Some people had the data themselves, whereas on the day I was meant to debut, there were 6 of us talents. 2 of those 6 even shared a debut time, which staff had assured us would not happen. Others and I had to play Twitter detective, as Anive never even notified us when new talents were onboarded. We would simply see a new account and try to reach out to them on our own. Also, I'd like to note that apparently someone confused me for staff because I posted this schedule on Twitter. Honestly, I thought this was super funny, and I had no idea people thought I was staff until I talked to them directly. They were so confused when they found out I was just a normal person. That really goes to show how little effort Anive is putting into their talent. The fact that me, some random person that hadn't even debuted, was doing more than staff honestly says a lot about the company. The amount of people being onboarded felt super concerning, as most of us already felt like staff had no time to address any of our problems and concerns. Hiring new talent just meant we'd get even less attention. The day after I posted the schedule was when talents first noticed the AI rumors being spread on Twitter. Some people were more worried than others, which was to be expected. I wasn't too concerned, as I already kind of understood what was going on. I thought the allegations were silly, but I did my best to calm the others. Many reached out to staff, where they were given the same copy-pasted messages saying the art provided to us was human-made and nothing more. I went to bed that night assuming things would blow over, and when I woke up the next day, it seemed like all hell had broken loose. Nexus, a VTuber company that partners with Anive, made a comment on the usage of AI, saying that they did not agree with it and would never use it. While they decided to make a statement, Anive remained completely silent. This felt super irresponsible, as some talents had already been receiving harassment from strangers regarding the situation, both on stream and in DMs. As many of us talents reached out to staff, we were told to handle it ourselves. It seemed at that time that they had no plan of making any public statements. The night before, I had no plans on messaging staff regarding the issue, but seeing how worried my fellow talents were, I decided that I would. There's strength in numbers, and I thought that maybe if a lot of us messaged staff, they would be more likely to publicly respond. You can pause here to read my message if you'd like to. I did censor certain parts purely because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say those things publicly. In the message, I include screenshots of several tweets regarding the AI accusations, as well as express concern for the effects of the bad press on myself and other talents. I mentioned the Nexus made a statement already, and that their silence on the topic is dangerous. The longer they wait to speak, the worse things will get. I conclude my message by saying that it's the company's responsibility to handle the situation, and that they're being irresponsible by ignoring it and telling the talents to deal with it themselves. I urge staff to make a public statement as soon as possible, and I just leave things at that. This shouldn't be a surprise to you guys, but staff never responded to this message, nor the one before it, where I talked about the lack of promotion. I know staff was active, as others who sent messages later in the day received messages back. I felt like my concerns were being completely ignored, and I thought that maybe I was being too blunt or came off as rude. However, I stood by everything I said, and I refused to take it back. At this point in the day, us talents were made aware of the YouTube video I previously mentioned. I wanted to address it myself, however I knew staff probably wouldn't let me. I felt super frustrated and ignored because I'd never gotten responses for anything I'd said, and I'm sure others felt the same way. I decided that I was willing to take a hit for the team. I'm lucky enough to be an established creator with a great community outside of Anive. After talking with my peers, I decided I wanted to make a video regarding this whole situation to address things. I was already making the schedules for my peers, even though that should have been the company job, so might as well make a public statement too, since it didn't seem like they were gonna do that either. I decided I would ask staff for permission to make a video on the topic on my current account, and I added I would not mention having any part in Anive. I would be totally unbiased and in defense of my fellow talents. If they gave me permission, I would make the video. If they said I couldn't, I was fully willing to graduate just to get the message out. Believe it or not, this is actually my second video on this drama. While waiting for a response, I drafted the video with the intention of going public as soon as they said yes. I'm sure by now they wish they responded to me, as that video would have been much nicer than the one I'm making right now. After several hours of being ghosted, I was fuming. This was the third time they had ghosted me while still responding to everyone else. I had even pinged staff directly in the third message and still got no response. In frustration, I decided I was going to delete the entire message. I told myself they don't deserve for me to ask permission. I was being too nice by even giving them a choice on whether I spoke on the matter. I thought maybe I'd cool down about the situation and post it in a day or two if things weren't resolved. Now let's cut to
I'm really glad she has that much spine and she didn't just let herself be ridden all over the fucking place. Because seriously, she's doing all of this shit for free.
November 1st, which I consider D-Day. Staff made an announcement within the official Discord regarding the AI accusations. Rather than fully debunking things and agreeing to make a public statement, they simply gave us the same answer they'd been giving us for days. Don't worry, your images are drawn by human artists. On top of that, they agreed to allow us to postpone our streaming and or debuts if we thought that was the best idea for us. This felt like such a slap in the face. Rather than fixing the issue, it felt like staff was just telling us, if you don't like it, then leave. Some talents instantly took the offer and canceled their debut. By the end of the day, I'd removed 5 people from the debut schedule for the next week, myself included. Staff asked us to place a message in our private chat logs on whether we would like to continue with our debut or cancel. Now, I had still not received a single response from staff on any of the topics I'd brought up. I initially replied saying that I would just go ahead and continue with my debut, but I really wanted a public statement to be made. I also called them out on the fact that I was the only person who had still not been responded to in private about my concerns. I was definitely being ignored. As you can probably guess, they didn't respond to this message either. They didn't care. After saying I'd continue with my debut, I talked with some of the other talents and realized that maybe I was wrong to want to continue. I told myself I would give Anive until the end of the weekend to make a public statement, and if they chose not to, I would fully graduate. I began typing up a very long message to staff regarding all of my concerns and issues within the program. By the end of it, I realized I didn't even want to give Anive the chance to make a statement and win me back on their side. Rather than send this message in private like initially intended, I decided I was going to place it in the public feedback channel of the official Anive Discord. Because of the character limit, I was forced to split it into 2 posts. You can see though by all the reactions to my message, a lot of the other talents agreed with my sentiments. In that moment, I felt like Martin Luther hanging the 99 Thesis on the Catholic Church door.
He's really well informed and knowledgeable about all of this stuff. I really feel bad for her because she really fucking tried to make all of this work. Even though there was, like, at this point, I'm quite sure she knew that there's no chance of any of this working. And despite her knowing that they wouldn't care, she just still continued because she cared enough. But they just didn't. God damn. I hate to see such wasted effort.
On top of this, I sent one last message in private to staff. It was here that I explained I was graduating effective immediately. I promised to support the individual talents, but not the company from this point forward. I ended everything by saying this entire dumpster fire was a byproduct of poor decision making on behalf of the company, and that I have no sympathy for whatever PR nightmare they land themselves in. This is where I also decided I'm going to make a new video, and that's what you're watching now. My fellow talents wished me the best, and were more than happy to keep me around in the unofficial server, even after my graduation. Okay, wow, I am eating my own words again. Future Karma here, hi! So I am no longer in the unofficial Discord because that got nuked as well. And honestly, I have no one to blame for that. I'm gonna make this really brief. I'm very upset. I actually cried about it last night. But there have been people going around pretending to be Anive Jumpstart talents. So if you got this far in the video, please don't believe anyone that says anything unless they have receipts. Now, I was reached out to by someone on Twitter, but they said that they were a Jumpstart person and they wanted to make a statement for my video since I was allowing people to make statements. But when they sent me this message, there were just so many details that, as someone that was actually in the program, were wrong, you know? Like, sure, everyone had slightly different experiences, but it really seemed like they were just making things up. And obviously, as someone that's been a part of drama like this before, I recognize that people will do anything to get an inside scoop. Not only did they reach out to me, but they also reached out to another talent which had also chosen to graduate. Now, they reached out to the two of us in very different ways. Whereas they reached out to me saying they wanted to make a statement, they reached out to them being like, oh, I want to graduate too. I don't know what to do. What did you do? So obviously it felt like fishing for information. Anyways, what it boils down to is this other individual let them know that we had an unofficial streamer Discord and was like, wow, are you not in the Discord? And they're like, oh, no, I'm not. And obviously, because I think this was someone fishing for information, they wanted to get inside. They told them they would try to get them an invite, and staff of our unofficial server decided to talk it over on whether they were going to allow this person in. One of the big issues we had is that they were completely anonymous. We had no way of knowing who they actually were. And besides, if you're wanting to make a statement about Anive, why do you have to use an anonymous account to talk to other people in the program? It doesn't make sense. It's one thing to have an anonymous account to speak publicly on the situation, but another to talk to other people suffering through the same scenario. Anyways, after the mods got done talking, they kind of made the same conclusion I had, that this person was faking it and just trying to get info out of any of us that they could. It's really sad to say that the mods did come to the decision that anyone who quit the company before they debuted did have to be removed from the unofficial streamer Discord. Now, this was heartbreaking for me. Like, I legitimately cried when reading this announcement. I've been doing content creation for over 2 years and I've never made a single VTuber friend. This was the first time I had found a community where I really felt like I fit in. I was so happy to meet everyone and be a part of everything. I mean, it shows through all the effort I did by making schedules, whatever else. I completely understood why they made the decision they did, and I completely respected that. So, you know, I made a little goodbye message and I left. A couple people have added me since then, including some of the mods, and I understand it was not a personal decision, but it still sucks that one bad apple ruins it for everybody. So if any of you out there are trying to pretend to be part of Anive or one of the victims just in order to get close to other talents, stop. I did agree that I still wanted to make the schedules for everyone, and the mods are going to be continuing to give me what information they can so that I can try to still be a part of the community without being allowed in the Discord anymore. Anyways, that's all I have to say about that. By the way, it is November 3rd now. I've been working on this video for like 3 days straight. I announced my graduation to staff over 48 hours ago now, and they still haven't responded. But honestly, they haven't responded to anything else either, so honestly, I'm kind of wondering if they ever are going to respond to me quitting. How funny would it be if they do not acknowledge me by the time I was supposed to debut on Friday, and I just debut anyways just to say fuck you? Like, honestly, that would be hilarious, and I'm kind of contemplating it. I am still the only person who has not been responded to. I have not received a message from staff in days regarding any of my concerns. Everyone else who decided to postpone their debut or continue was given a confirmation message by staff, except me. Even the other talent that decided to graduate received a message back from staff. Why am I being ignored? I don't know if they thought that ignoring me would make my concerns and—
You probably cared too much. And they saw that as well. They probably discovered a quote-unquote troublemaker within their midst and didn't want to respond. someone that puts that much effort into everything, both in a positive and negative sense.
Anger disappear, but I would like them to know it only made it worse. Now that I've told my story, I'd like to let some of the other talents anonymously share theirs. All of the screenshots I'm going to share with you guys, I've been given explicit permission to use by the person who wrote them. I'll be keeping their identities anonymous just for their own safety because I don't want anyone getting in trouble with the company while trying to have their voice heard. These first two screenshots are written by the same person. The first screenshot I'm showing you is something that they posted within the public feedback section of the official Anive streamer Discord. This place is where us talents are supposed to be able to post our thoughts and concerns, and staff will address them in a public forum. The title says, "Please stop hiring." Don't get me wrong, I love all my amazing coworkers and friends that I've made here, but I know myself and many others have started realizing just how many of us there are, and it's becoming a problem. There are so many things we need to fix before we keep hiring new people, and I feel that with hiring so many people, we can't properly fix said issues. It's not just me that feels this way either. So many people in this community have said the same thing, and I just want to bring this to light. There's too many people here, with the Jumpstarters, Indies, and Nexus talents rolling in, so please consider hitting the brakes. Please consider some time to focus on the event awards that haven't happened yet, and make sure the talents already here get the attention they very much deserve. Thank you. As you can see, there have been 34 people that reacted to this message.
So you see, same problem as Nexus. An agency and also a streaming platform that focuses on smaller dudes en masse. And support for singular ones is virtually non-existent.
Meaning that they agree with the sentiment stated. Now I'd like to move on to the message they sent me in private as to their own personal experience within the company. Hello, I'm someone in Volume 1. I won't say who, but the way Anive is doing things is personally affecting me as well. A little bit ago, I won one of the events and was promised a very good reward. It was then ordered 2 days later, with it being cancelled only 2 hours later. I personally cannot afford said thing, so this hurt a ton. When I messaged staff about it, they answered 3 days later, when they were responding to a different unrelated message, then telling me that I would have to wait way longer to get the reward I was promised the day after it was ordered. I still haven't gotten said item, and I'm still waiting. I'm pissed. I think Anive is spending too much effort on hiring talents they can't take care of, and not enough of the talents they currently have. If they don't resolve the issues in the community soon, not just the AI, but all of them, I will personally be graduating and going indie. There's no way in hell that this is acceptable, and this needs to change. When I joined Anive,
the CEO of Anive, which is the former Prism Project CEO, Captain, and Harry were friends of some magnitude. I don't know if they still are. But there's a chance that, you know, these two models for quote-unquote VTuber agencies being so similar is probably their joint idea, or maybe Harry implementing ideas into Captain's head, or maybe Captain pushing those ideas into Harry's head. Who knows? Maybe they got those ideas from an unrelated party and they both decided to follow the same modus operandi. Who knows? But it's way too similar in what's happening in Nexus to what's happening in Anive.
it was for a fun community, not one where I don't even feel that anything's being done. Don't get me wrong, I love all the people here to the fullest, but I can't do this anymore. This needs to change or I'm out. Honestly, I think this person's story is one of the worst out of all of them. If you aren't already aware, Anive hosts in-app events where winners are determined based on how many coins you receive or how many hours you've streamed. This individual won an event where she was promised a very expensive prize. Upon winning an event, staff ordered this item, however within 2 hours of it being ordered they cancelled it. Since then they've been very dodgy on whether this prize is ever going to get delivered at all. It seems like there's not been a lot of effort for them to even reschedule the order. Considering just how expensive the prize was, I was astonished whenever I heard about this. I really hope they're able to get the prize because they deserve it and they worked hard to win it. As they repeatedly said, I think one of the big issues with Anive is that they're significantly over-hiring. Rather than focusing on the people they already have, they would rather just get new people. This is super unfair to everyone that has already been hired but feels ignored. This is a statement from another individual. This was also released in the public feedback channel of the official Anive Discord. I went ahead and read over the statement recently released by Anive, and I can tell there's a good amount of people who aren't buying the statement. There's plenty of things that were left unaddressed on the statement. No artists nor production companies have been named. The generative AI engineer position on LinkedIn was left up for a while under Anive. These are not hard to address. Outside of the AI accusations, I feel like we, the Anilivers, are not being heard. There's plenty of feedback left within the official server, some going weeks and weeks without a response. Besides that, when Anilivers, especially Jumpstarters, attempt to contact staff, they go days and days without a response. Same goes for the delays for Anilive event prizes. There were no new updates about the Ani team's party event, an event started mid-September, or the Times Square ads for the winning team. And one of the Jumpstarters who won a new iPhone via a Halloween event was suddenly cancelled for some unknown reason. The amount of unprofessionalism and lack of transparency is absurd, because it seems like Anilive's main priority is to keep onboarding for Volume 2 instead of focusing on those who have already debuted. Some of the pre-debut jumpstarts for Volume 2 are already graduating, and some pausing their debuts because of this. We feel we're not being supported nor protected at all. Please do better. Once again, this individual talks about the prizes for events with an Anilive not even being given out. Now, I'm relatively new to Anilive, so I'm not familiar with all of the prizes that were discussed. I do know recently there was a Halloween event where the prize was that people would be promoted in Akihabara as like a little billboard advertisement. There have been zero updates on this. A while back, there was apparently another event where the winners were supposed to receive an advertisement in New York Times Square. There has been absolutely no follow-up on this prize either. No one has seen pictures or heard any information. All of these are just examples of Anilive saying they'll do something and not following through. Could they still be working on things? Absolutely, but so far, no one has any information on any of the prizes actually being delivered as they were supposed to be. On top of the message I just read, this individual also posted a message October 26th in the feedback channel. Around the time I debuted in September, I've seen much more official posts for Volume 1 talents made on the Anilive Twitter account. Recently, I've seen a lack of posts for Volume 2 talents, so it makes it more difficult to find all of the upcoming debuts for Volume 2 talents. I've only seen retweets made by the account for some Volume 2 talents, but no official posts from what I've seen. Personally, I feel the Volume 2 talents deserve just as much as the Volume 1. Out of all of the screenshots I'm going to show, this is the only feedback that was actually addressed, and I have a feeling it's because of how old it was. The initial message was made on the 26th, but staff did not actually respond until October 31st. The response staff gave was pretty generic as well. Basically, they just say, we're not trying to exclude anyone, we're just really understaffed and onboarding a lot of new people, so we don't have time to promote everyone. That's why we decided to retweet people instead of making official posts. And again, I completely understand and would respect this decision if they were actually retweeting everyone. The problem is, they're not. So there are many talents that go completely unrecognized by the official Twitter at all. Now, for the third individual who I am going to be sharing their message.
Now, before she continues, let me tell you how many Anilive Jumpstart waves there are. 1 wave, 4 talents. Wave 2, 3 talents. Wave 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 talents. Wave 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 talents. Wave 5, 5 talents. Wave 6, 5 talents. Wave 7, 5 talents. Wave 8, 6 talents. Wave 9, 5 talents. Wave 10, 5 talents. And then there's Anilive Jumpstart Program Volume 2. Wave 1, 5 talents. Wave 2, 5 talents. Wave 3, 5 talents. Wave 4, 4 talents. Wave 5, 6 talents. Wave 6, 6 talents again. Wave 7, 5 talents. Wave 8, 4 talents. Wave 9, 5 talents. I'm not even counting how many VTubers that is in total, but shitload. A shitload. You won't remember most of them. Jesus Christ. Why do they all do this? Why do they all think this is gonna work?
messages. They have been in contact with staff since October 28th. This is before a lot of the drama became mainstream. In their own words, staff is making no real effort to fix this situation. This first message I'm reading is from November 1st. I would also like this to be addressed. Please address the situation where the model looks like it's AI generated for JP Volume 2 before making a formal statement that the company does not use AI for model art and rigging. Why is there a job application of generative AI engineer under your company logo? And if this is something Anive as a company is planning to move forward with making Gen AI. Also, I would like to see the time-lapse of the illustration being drawn by the artist as well as a rigging time-lapse. As well, I would like to see who is the artist and rigger to the models. Another thing, why are so many artists working on a single illustration where one artist is able to handle the single illustration? Looking at Volume 1, I do not believe anyone from Volume 1, is using a generated AI model. I do not see the similar inconsistencies I've seen in Volume 1 like I do in JP Volume 2. Please understand your talents are currently being accused of using AI.
The funny thing about this, because you have to understand that this video was made in November or maybe October even. I don't remember exactly. Let me look this up real quick to be sure when this was made, because the timeline is a little bit important for this. This was made 3 months ago, which is November. Yeah, it's the beginning of November 2024. And ever since this video came out, and ever since those AI allegations have been, you know, circulating around social media, it's then when the new models that are onboarded for new VTubers, they stopped being pre-made and instead said onboarded VTubers were directly working with artists this time around. So whatever you may think about this, it's very probable that a lot of that shit was AI generated in some form or fashion. That's probably one of the reasons why they didn't want specific talents to be in contact with their artists, if those artists were actual artists. All very fucking fishy.
This is very damaging not only to your company, but damaging to your talents as well. This will affect the reputation, including credibility of the company, as well as the talents, and this will affect them in the long run if this isn't addressed properly. As a reminder, artists and riggers are the backbone of the community, and using AI for model art or rigging is frowned upon. Following up with insert names here feedback, I definitely agree to stop hiring new talents, as judging by the quality of work and time being put into your next wave of Volume 2, it's not on the same level standard of time being put in like the other talents. This may seem harsh, and I will say that from an outsider looking at it, the company itself is pushing for quantity instead of quality. Definitely agree that it's better to focus on the events instead of consistently releasing new waves of talents. This message went completely unaddressed, as to be expected. This same individual made another post approximately 36 hours after the first. I will ask again, as this is the similar answer you've given me in private when I brought up this issue originally. From my viewpoint, Anive has put out a statement that is similar to a he said, she said.
Their staff is very afraid of walls of text. They don't like well formulated arguments be used against them. They immediately shut down and do not respond.
With no actual evidence, time-lapse, or credit to back up your claim. The only thing that Anive is claiming is that they don't use AI. This is based on your words and your words only, with nothing to back it up. This is quite damaging, and it hurts your credibility towards your company, as well as continues to put your talent under fire while they're defending for themselves. I've requested before that these be addressed. Artist or production being credited. Time-lapse of the work, art and animation. Address the job post that was on LinkedIn. You have not answered this or addressed this in private or publicly. Why are so many artists working on a single illustration where one artist is able to handle a single illustration? Leaving the talents to defend for themselves is something a PR team is supposed to handle in times like this.
What PR team? Ask yourself that. What PR team?
Nexus has already placed their statement.
Team? Employees? What's that?
I myself, as an indie, do not approve of the use of Gen AI, and am already upset with this and how it is turning out. The jumpstarts have no one to defend them besides themselves and are either on pause or have graduated. Not only that, but the amount of DM and emails you were sending to everyone to join the Jumpstart program is coming off as scam bot instead of something professional. Once again, I've pointed out signs of Gen AI in the artwork that doesn't look to be caused by the rigging technology. Please understand it is not just the eye. I have highlighted multiple parts outside of the eyes where the hair was merging when it shouldn't, the lines for the hair not lining up with others, or missing a line to separate the hair from each other, where eyebrows, one is in front of the hair and one is behind. I also come to notice another jumpstart where their arm looks somewhat off. Now, I'd like to quickly address the part where they talk about people being reached out to through DM and email to join the Jumpstart program. This is another huge issue I actually forgot to include in the video up until this point. I'm going to be super brief because it's pretty self-explanatory. Anive has been obsessively DMing people on Twitter as well as sending emails to individuals asking them to join their platform and the Jumpstart program. There is one individual whose name I know within the company that has been doing 90% of this, but I'm not going to say their name here. I'm sure the company already knows who they are because many of us have already brought this up to staff. There's at least 3 instances that I know of that this staff member reached out to people already in the Anive Jumpstart program asking them to join. How is it that your own staff doesn't even know who has joined and who has not? Apparently there was a
Hey, you want to join again? I have this nice VTuber agency for you. We have this talent that's in it that's named just like you. How about you join as well?
Originally a Twitter account for Jumpstart Volume 2, and the current Anive account was only for Jumpstart Volume 1. If you go to look up the account, it has actually been banned on Twitter.
It's okay, you can be called VTuber number 2. If one name is already taken, you can be this VTuber again. It doesn't matter.
A lot of us talents believe this reason is because they were reaching out to literally everyone in their DMs asking them to apply to the Anive program. Obviously, Twitter flagged this as spam and the account ended up being banned. Honestly, this is so unprofessional.
I have a free rig. Don't you see how well it's animated? The Fumo right there, sitting on the chair. It's using the amazing technology of Fugi or Fuji or whatever you, however you pronounce that word. You just needed to light up and jump a little bit up in the air. It's all you need. You don't need anything else.
The fact that you have one person dedicated to just spam DMing people to join really says a lot about the company and how desperate you are. With this whole PR nightmare that Anive has landed itself in, I'm sure people are even less likely to join now. I have received some other statements from other talents, and I still have a lot of information that I didn't get to fully cover within the video. Despite all this, the video has already gotten really long and I've poured so much work into this. I think rather than continuing to go back and re-edit my video as new information comes out, I just want to leave things as they—
I think this is her most popular video on her channel too. And a good job at that. Considering how very few people want to talk about all of these fucking terrible agencies doing all of this terrible shit to so many people. And it goes, you know, usually unnoticed because these agencies are so irrelevant and just nobody cares. Nobody cares until people get hurt. That's the problem.
Are, and if in the future it becomes necessary to make a part 2, I will. However, I really don't want to have to make a part 2. I want this situation over and done with. Myself as well as the other talents are so tired. As we wrap up the video, I just want to say please don't send hate towards any of us. None of us knew the absolute nightmare that we were getting ourselves into. I've seen a lot of people saying things like, oh, well, you saw it was AI, you knew what you were getting into, and that's completely untrue. I mean, look at my personal experience. Nothing I was shown was AI. I legitimately thought nothing was AI until very recently. Maybe I was being a little naive, but regardless, it doesn't matter. I was lied to, and so was everyone else. None of us deserve the hate. Anive does. I really hope this situation gets resolved and everyone can move past this in a timely manner. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story as well as the stories of everyone else. Before I go, I'd like to say one last thing. Anive, burn in hell.
That's a nice way to sum it up and when end it. I'm glad that she was so confident in calling them out like this and just essentially telling them to fuck themselves. because that's what both Nexus and Anive should probably do. All of this should go and fuck itself. But again, to be fair to all of them, even though I don't have to be fair, but still, I like to be fair. There are talents, both in Nexus and both of the Anive Jumpstart, that do actually enjoy both Nexus and Anive in some capacity. So whether that's from some kind of form of Stockholm syndrome, it's very much possible, or they genuinely think it helped them become better VTubers in some shape or fashion. That's on them. But considering all of this stuff that you've learned, that cannot be easily ignored, I'm a little bit skeptical about, you know, both of these places being good places for any kind of VTuber activity. It just seems so out of fucking place to do shit like that. And they pretend it's gonna work. Both very similar approaches to creating a VTuber agency and having it get popular, and both of them just failing so spectacularly at the same time. What's happening to Anive nowadays? Well, it's on hiatus, and it's essentially, apparently, coming back soon, sometime with an undisclosed date, with new functionality. I don't know how that's gonna look out for them. I'll probably keep a closer eye out this time, because things have been happening with both Nexus and Anive at the same time. It's funny how that symbiosis is working with both of these. But yeah, that's the Nexus postmortem for you. Long Nexus is dead. Long live Nexus, I guess, because it's still not fully dead. Anive is not fully dead. Both kind of shambling around like zombies, like two corpses attached at the hip. Okay, some weird mutated zombie from a nuclear holocaust, I guess. And these things will keep happening as long as there are hopeful people trying to make careers for themselves, and as long as there are snake oil salesmen who sell that fucking snake oil. There's gonna be problems like this, and there's gonna be people getting abused left and right, because it's very easy to capitalize on someone's dreams when you sell them those dreams, but then you don't deliver anything, and it just turns into a fucking nightmare. But yeah, that's everything for right now. We'll see what the next stream is gonna be about. I have some ideas. I want to slowly ram the nail into someone very annoying, someone I've been following for a very long time, and they have been doing shit that annoys me for a very long time, and very few people call them out because so very few people care about them, despite their size. You will eventually see who this is about, and it's all over my other Twitter account right now. And you know, without being too coy, it's about fucking Feifei. It's it's a little funny what's happening with her, and I hope she implodes greatly, because that shit is disgusting. Trying to manipulate someone's emotions in that fashion is it doesn't sit well with me at all, and makes me kind of boil on the fucking inside. So I'll gather what I've gathered over a long period of time, and at some point we're gonna have a stream about that, because the fucking baiting has to end at some point. But it's probably not gonna end, because the kind of content that she does is for people that think with their dicks, not with their heads, and they do not fucking care if they're being lied to or if they're being baited. So she is allowed to do the shit that she does without any kind of repercussions. But yeah, that's for another time, and that's for a lengthy other discussion. So for right now, I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna play you guys off with some bit of music, and I hope to see you guys next time. When that's gonna be, I don't know. But you guys have a good night, good evening, good afternoon, or a good morning, wherever you find yourself in the world. Stay hydrated. Stay off Twitter unless you use it for porn, I guess. And bye bye. I'll see you guys later.